On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick have a ridiculous amount of Star Wars topics to spit at you, so prepare for more hot air than usual. They'll of course lead with the infamous breakdown segment for the latest episode of The Bad Batch, you know, the Poncho one. They will then dive headfirst into the shallow end and start riffing on some Kenobi set leaks and casting updates. Then they'll turn their sights to the Andor series, which is rumored to be getting a few Rogue One characters in its cast. Thanks to Tem, they'll also have some concrete timelines for the Book of Boba Fett, at least in terms of its setting. And before they rattle off all the new Black Series and Hot Toys figures to collect or vomit over, they'll discuss a new rumor for the Ahsoka series about an important character from her past. Of course, the show will end with this week's fan segment, which includes fan responses to this week's question and our top 5 fan artist features, which will also have 2 fan shot critiques. Phew! Punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody! Oh my goodness, sorry. Nick and I were... I was trying to explain to Nick before the hey now moment of how poor our transition is on the live stream from the, our announcers opening to the actual hey now, and I was doing it right before it actually clicked over, so that's why I had a little bit of a laughing hey now, but I'm here. I'm composed now. Hey now, everybody. All right, the Star Wars Time Show is back in full for the first time in 5 weeks or something. Nick is here from the get-go. Wow. I'm here from the get-go. No guests, no bullshit, no ad reads. You're just getting pure Matt and Nick, a.k.a. the Dude Bros of the Star Wars Time Show. So, I don't know. It feels good. It feels nice to just have a little bit of a kind of a chill episode planned. I mean, there's some...
A normal one.
Yeah, there's... I'd say the most amount of topics we've had since the end of The Mandalorian, at least season 2. And there's a lot of meaty ones. I mean, there's a lot of collecting ones that, we'll gloss over because we do know a lot of our fans are into the collection addiction, like myself. I still can't shake it, Nick. Even when I know I shouldn't be getting some of these re-releases, I literally, it's like I had to grab my hand and get off the mouse, and it still went over, and I still bought some, but I'll be talking about that later. But there's a lot of good stuff to get into. But before we do that, I do want to ask you about something. Some current event shit, because that's kind of what we get into. I mean, I don't know, before we went live, I was checking our stories, and I shared a Pride piece today, I think from SpaceX Photos. It's very nicely done. All the Jedi and Force users were making the rainbow, and they're like, yeah, hey, this is great. Thanks for being an ally, even if the comments get a little off kilter. And I went and read some of the comments, and sure enough, it's like, why do people, and I'm going to call it out, it has to be white men. But why do white men get so upset when other groups get a month of recognition? I do not get it, man. They get everyone's important. Shut the fuck up. It's like, okay, chill. The only people, these are my opinions, but to me, the only people that react that way are angry white people, but probably angry white men. It's just like, who cares if LGBTQ or the Alphabet Mafia, as they call themselves, who cares if they get a month? It's great. How can people, especially white men, not understand that every day is our fucking day in this country? Enjoy it. Don't get mad that other people get a little recognition or, some communities make art for it. It's like, what? Why do people focus on that shit? You know what? I am an angry man. Right? You know this, Nick.
Yeah.
Our fans know this. I am angry as fuck. But not at stuff like that. I mean, I'm angry at collecting toys, at toy photography, at not being able to use a screwdriver without feeling like sticking it into my eye. That's the shit I get angry about. I would never think to dedicate an ounce of thought to the fact that other groups besides my own are getting recognized. Like, good for them. Who gives a shit? You know?
I don't know, man. I feel lucky in a way because I could have easily been one of that number. You know, I grew up my entire life.
Dude, I am always amazed that this guy grew up in like the fucking bayou of Louisiana. I mean, he's talked about before. I mean, it sounds like his parents are pretty normal. Yeah. But you said like even one relative away, it starts getting into the, hey, go down, get down, crawl here, get down, boy, go down. Right? Yeah, I mean, you got like Ed Ogeron is in your family.
Exactly. I definitely have people in my family that have that speech pattern. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in the South my whole life. I still live in the South. Technically, I'm in Texas. I mean, Austin is as blue as you can get in the South, but still here in the South.
I don't know, man.
And from 6th grade through high school, I went to Catholic school.
Oh, my God. I forget that about you.
Yeah. I mean, it was very easy. It would have been very easy for me to fall into that demographic of like, people who just have an inordinate amount of hate for stuff like this, for like Pride Month or for like Black History
I've always
Month.
said, man, like,
it's just like, I don't know.
I don't give a fuck what anyone does as long as they're not breaking the law or fucking with me.
Yeah. Like,
do whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy, whatever gets you through this shitty world every day, great. Why should it bother me? So anyways, that was just a little rant. But the real thing I wanted to talk about, outside of just shitty people, Nick secured the newest Ratchet and Clank, right? Not Ratchet and Clank, which us Star Wars fans would love. I'd love a Ratchet and Clank. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're not a real fan. You don't watch my breakdowns, and you don't like the Bad Batch. But anyways, Nick got the new Ratchet and Clank, and if you're in gaming, if you're someone like me, you still got contacts in gaming media. Last week, there was a huge buzz around Ratchet and Clank for the PS5. It's the first true PS5 exclusive, right? I mean, there's not a PS4 version. This was it's an actual next fucking gen title, which is crazy to think considering the consoles came out 6 months ago. But they're finally coming in, and anyways, everyone's like, "Oh, Ratchet and Clank, finally, the consoles finally are getting a game that lets them shine and shows people why they should be, waiting in lines online and fighting the bots to try and get one." But I'm still someone that's like, hey, great. I'm not going to read someone's review because it'll taint my own opinion. But Nick did secure it, procured it, as we should say, and he's been playing it, and he did kind of chime in yesterday, and it sounds like your opinion of the game is falling in line with the masses here, right? Yeah.
I mean, it really does, because I've played my PS5 a lot. I've played a lot of games on it. Played Ghost of Tsushima, which is obviously a PS4 that's enhanced. I've played Horizon Zero Dawn, which is again has enhancements for the PS5. I played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and by far and away, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the best game on PS5, not only in terms of like visual fidelity, but also just like fun gameplay.
Yeah, I've heard that, obviously if you have a PS5 or if you haven't, you've probably heard that its controller can be game changing. Yeah, in terms of gameplay, and there, that you had that baked in game. What was it called? Like the robot Astro's Playground.
Astro's Playground.
And if you actually went through it, I mean, it's somewhat of a legit platformer for free. But it was specifically created to, I don't know, maybe to show gamers, but maybe also developers like, hey, this is what you can do with your gameplay with this controller to make it more immersive. So I've heard Ratchet and Clank does that well, but you were telling me yesterday, just visually, it's absolutely crazy looking, right?
It's stunning. Imagine the best animated series or movie you've ever seen in terms of like visual fidelity of the animation. Ratchet and Clank is not only better than that in its cinematics, but it's better than that in its just straight up gameplay. And it's seamless. Like when you go from cutscene to gameplay,
nothing, right? No loads.
There's no loads, but it also like there's no change in visual fidelity. So like when I first started playing the game, like you're kind of going through cutscenes and stuff like that. I didn't even realize that I was playing at some points because like you go seamlessly from a cutscene into the gameplay, and I'm just like holding the forward stick because like, you know, my hands just kind of idle there. And then all of a sudden I realized like, oh, I'm actually walking through this room. And like,
so have you been able to pick up on any of their tricks to load environments? Did they do any tricks that are noticeable, or is it that seamless?
No, dude, it's just that seamless.
That's crazy,
like,
man.
It's actually insane.
That is some compute power at work right there, then.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things that the game does is it has this rift mechanic where it's the closest that I can describe to it is like Portal. Like, you know, in Portal you can basically shoot a hole in a wall and then you can walk through to the next room. Well, this rift mechanic is basically like you're walking through the world and then all of a sudden you see like a rift on the other side of like a platform or something. And instead of having to platform jump there, you like send out a tether and you just pull yourself through the level, like to the next part of it. And it like, at the first time you do it, it's kind of disorienting because you like all of a sudden like you throw out this tether and then you're just at the next part.
So are you saying it like Half Baked? You should do it on weed.
Yeah, exactly. Just
Have
like
you ever
Jon
looked at the
Stewart
back of a $20 bill on weed?
Yeah, just like Jon Stewart from Half Baked. Like
I need a backiotomy. I haven't watched that movie in so long.
Dude,
kill a kill,
so
kill a kill.
It's so funny.
One of the best stoner movies ever made. Sorry, Nick. Tangent time.
But I mean, the gameplay itself is fantastic. The visual fidelity is fantastic. Everything about it.
Do you
is
have
great.
to be a Ratchet and Clank fanboy to enjoy it? Okay.
Because that's what I was going to say as well. Is like I've only ever played one other Ratchet and Clank game. This was decades ago, and I was never really attached to the franchise. I hadn't played a 3D.
Yeah, it's a 3D platform. I mean, it pulls its roots from the early days of when Mario Brothers went 3D, and I remember you have to like collect nuts and shit, right?
Yeah, that's still a part of the game. That's like your currency. So like I had never been attached to the franchise, but then after literally the reason that I bought it was like you mentioned it, you're like, man, Ratchet and Clank's getting some
it was like, I mean, you know, sometimes I can tell when people are going over the top in the gaming community, but it was universal. This is the shit.
And then I saw G4, so Adam Sessler at G4 put out his review on it, and then they did like a gameplay stream, and I was like, okay, this looks cool, so I got it, and I was like, wow. It almost makes me want to go back and play the older games, but like I know that I can't do that because if you know my first
you couldn't do it
now.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it.
Yes, you can't do it. But no, I would say that if you are a fan of like just fun kind of run around, shoot 'em up, platformer style games, get this game because it's just like it's unmatched right now in terms of.
All right, I'm sold. I mean. I'm going through Mass Effect Legendary, which I'm going to call Nick out on this, all right? I'm like, hey, dude, Mass Effect Legendary, you going to check it out? He's like, I've already played that game. I'm not replaying it. I'm like, okay, Mr. KOTOR, 5,000 times played on 50 different platforms, plus SWTOR, multiple playthroughs. Give me a break. Don't make me feel bad because I want to see how my man Commander Shepard's doing again after almost 13, 14 years. But no, I've been enjoying. I love Mass Effect. I mean,
the only one that I would play again is 2. Like, I really don't have any desire to play 1 or 3 again. Not that they were bad, but like 2 is just like the clear standout of that franchise.
1 started it all, though. That's what laid down the groundwork. That's how you learned about Shepard and the Reapers. And
I know, but it was just like it was unquestionably not as good. But
how the fuck would you know that if that's the first game out? I bet the first time you played it, you're like, yeah, this is sweet. And then the second one comes out, you're like, wow, this is better. It's like, well, yeah. That's what happens.
But the third one came out, and I was like, this is not as good.
I don't know. I loved Matt. I love it. I love the trilogy. I still can't believe a movie was never made based on this property. It's just, to me, it's perfect science fiction. And this is a remaster that they actually dumped some dollars into. So
yeah, I mean that's why EA has made no Star Wars games because they just had studios dedicated to
that's fine.
Making Mass Effect
I'll take
look
it.
prettier.
It looks damn good. I mean, for a 2007 game running on the Series X, there's almost no loading. Although I do believe they removed mining from Mass Effect 1, which is one of my favorite things to do after a pen or two at night, was to just sit there and shoot probes at fucking planets to gather resources. I don't know if anyone remembers that from Mass Effect 1, but that was one of my favorite features. So, all right, there's your gaming updates and random life updates and me telling you how you should live your life update. Because everyone wants to be perfect like myself. All right, man, let's get into Bad Batch. There's really no other random shit I want to riff on outside of the fact that my personal Instagram is hemorrhaging followers because I just don't fucking post anymore. It's like, I don't know if all my bots are jumping ship or if people really go, you know what? This guy hasn't posted. I'm going to unfollow, which I think is highly unlikely.
People don't like, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't pair through followers on any platform.
Please. If you do, you've got some serious fucking problems. Like way more than I do about my Star Wars narcissism. Like, you've got some serious issues if you go through and try to find people that have unfollowed you.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, man.
Yeah, I hope to get back to it, because that the toy pile is getting bigger and bigger again. I tried a trick of just hiding some in drawers, so it's just out of sight, out of mind. But new ones have piled up in their place, so it's time to get at it. But right now, I'm essentially a single dad working with a 5-year-old now that the wife is back in the office. So I'm not really expecting much camera time coming up. Right? Yeah, I'm with Joe. The real fans are here, even if it's like 3. We're cool.
Yeah, the rest.
We're cool with that. Oh,
we're up to 9.
We got some good news for those of you that aren't real fans and aren't in our Discord. We made the announcement there. I think that's the only place we announced it. But
yeah.
Thanks to my excellent reads and Nick's little skit on Instagram, we have secured a real deal partnership with Manscaped. So kudos to us.
Yes.
We give no thanks to anybody but ourselves. That's how we do it over here. So, Nick, congratulations. You're awesome. Matt, you're awesome too. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. You got it.
We're great. We're great. Pat on the back.
Right. Thank you. Thank you to those.
Pick back up next month.
Right. Yeah. So we're actually going to get like a real deal. Like, someone is actually sponsoring the show. So
yeah,
I'm quite proud of that. It's like when I told Nick, I think it was Friday night or Saturday, I was like, go ahead and pour yourself a drink tonight. Someone is actually going to pay us to do this dumb fucking show.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really nice. I don't know who in the community bought. All I know is Tones for sure did.
Yes,
he sent us the receipt of his purchase. So Tones, thank you.
And that's what we expect. We expect that type of fealty, that you report back your purchases. Yeah. Like, that's how you get to stay in the club. You have to show us the receipts from Manscaped.
I know, right? That's the way. But the ad reads will pick up again in July. Hopefully we can do a little some fun little things with them, but we'll see. And then the offer code will be live again in July. So for those of you out there who did not take advantage during the first month, and we're just about it,
we're just, as Tones would say, we're just taking a piss. We do appreciate all those of you that helped us get there. Yes. Hopefully me badgering some of my friends wasn't the reason, because Manscaped's going to be shocked next month when we sell like $1.50.
Yeah.
So what we're saying, without saying it, wink, wink, is maybe start looking into some of those recurring purchases from Manscaped.com, like lotions or
pick
ball smells and
body wash or some shave gel or something like that. Because I will say
our terms are ice thin. Basically, they're like, guys, if you fuck up, it's gone. Like, this is there's no long-term commitments here. So
yeah, but no, it was very surprising to us regardless
Yeah, no, it was nice.
of how we got it, that we got it at all. We were both under the impression that, like, yeah, this will be a 1 month trial deal, and they'll be like, thanks.
Well,
but no
I mean,
thanks.
not even that. I was when he first asked, like, hey guys, you interested? But first, you got to send me your numbers. I'm like, okay, here you go, pal. Have fun with this shitty low number podcast. And then he came back. He's like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you're approved. I go, what?
It's like that was like confused. He's like, "Are you sure you're not talking about somebody else?"
Yeah, it's like, all right, but no, we have an official sponsor there now. A Star Wars Toy Story. There you go, the crop preserver. That's what we need. Make sure to use SWTS starting in July, because I think they turned the code off now. But our real deal promotion will start in July, and if we give them a good ROI, it'll continue into the fall. So there's that news for you. All right, man, let's Star Wars it up. It's time for some Star Wars, I think.
Yes,
we got a lot of shit to talk about and too much daylight to do so. All right, so the way we've been doing it these past few weeks, because the Bad Batch is in season, we're going to go ahead and start with our breakdown of the Bad Batch S1E7, a.k.a. Battle Scars, a.k.a. the one with the poncho guy.
Oh, poncho, man.
So first to start out, was it me or you? Did I take Rex to the bank, or did you take Rex to the bank? Because remember,
you did.
All right,
did.
so
I was swayed by the cape and everything else. I thought it was going to
be. I had to do my New Zealand warrior dance right there. But yeah, see, when we hedge our bets, we always win. So we were definitely correct on the mystery man. I took Rex. Yep. I made Nick take Bale just in case.
Yeah.
Tones actually, after the show, he had a good lead until I was like, no. They said him. But he actually showcased. It was maybe something Hera used to wear. It was like a hooded poncho.
It was Ahsoka. Ahsoka in one of the Rebels episodes had like a very similar poncho with the hood up and stuff like that.
Yeah, for whatever reason, he found a screenshot of Hera looking at this thing, and it very much looked like the outlines of some of the garb you saw in the hologram. But I was sticking to my guns and the him. That's why I watch with closed captioning, not because I'm deaf, but because I like the small details. And Tone already called himself out in the chat, and that's why I love this guy, because I was getting ready to. Not really to give him a tongue lashing, like not going back to the Boba Fett disaster. But we're going to feature his response to the fan question, and he misspoke about one of the monsters in the episode, and I was going to save it for that to be like, hey, Tones, watch my fucking videos, pal, because I cleared this thing up. But he owned himself in the chat. That's why he's a good chap, as they like to say across the pond. But he did realize, if he watched my video, that the monster in that episode was indeed a Dianoga and not a Rathtar. And that was only because of the closed captioning. But like Tones was originally thinking, and you'll see this in the fan response segment at the end of the show, he was thinking it was a Rathtar, but should have been a Dianoga, because Dianogas like to live in swampy shit and eat trash. Yep. And it really was. And I actually, in my video, I'm like, yo, why didn't they give us the eye if they're going to call it a Dianoga? So
that's what I was wondering too, is like, it's clearly like, you could even tell, like, as soon as they walked up, and we'll get to it when we do the breakdown, but as soon as we walked up and they were like, stay above the water, you're like, okay.
Well, you could even you even saw like the water moving a bit. And I was like, all right, this is definitely going to be the thing. And when I grabbed him and I still didn't see the eyes, like, is it? And then in the closed caption, it's like, Dianoga roar. I'm like, all right, well, there you go. So unless they've gone back and edited it, I can tell you last Friday that monster was indeed a Dianoga.
Are you sure it wasn't a water sarlacc?
Yeah, I mean, apparently sarlaccs are as big as fucking caverns. So, I mean, you never know how the canon can kind of... it's very malleable in Star Wars. Yeah. It's very malleable.
Take new shapes if need to be.
It's all right, Tones. I get it. But you better start watching those fucking videos when I post them in the Discord. All right, man. So just overall impressions. If you're new here, we typically break down the episode in full by starting with our general impressions of its merits, and then we get into some of the eggs references and then key moments that may be important down the road, or at least important for the narrative itself. Overall, another great episode. I mean, I really have not been disappointed yet by the Bad Batch. We talk about it all the time. I'm not in the filler crowd. A Star Wars tale is a Star Wars tale. I'll watch it, I'll consume it, I'll think about it, and I will discuss it. Obviously, having the Captain show back up is key, and probably propelled this episode beyond for most people, because it seems a lot of Star Wars fans typically like when familiarity comes back into these new things. Yeah. They don't like a lot of world building or new characters. So I could see why this episode would definitely be at the top of the list of most fans out there. But I think Rex's inclusion and just some of the little nuances we got from him were just fucking fantastic. A great little bridge gap or gap bridger from his final moments in the Clone Wars to now, kind of getting an idea of what Rex has been up to. Also, while pushing the overall plot, especially with the end right there when they were kind of caught out or sniffed out by the Scrappers Guild. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I loved Rex's introduction. It was very kind of badass, right? You know, the dude in the cloak sitting there, he just peeks his eyes out. Then once an Ithorian starts giving him shit, he blasts him. Very, it's very Star Wars cantina-ish type of stuff, right? It's very Star Warsy. It almost had
like a bit of Lord of the Rings feel too, like when they first see
Strider or whatever the hell they call it. Is it Strider or Ryder? What's his fucking name?
Strider.
Yeah, it's Strider, right?
Yeah, Strider.
Not the game Strider for Nintendo, but he was actually Aragorn, Strider. I used to know so much Tolkien shit. It's just... Dude,
I just watched, so bit of a tangent, but there's this guy, his name is Corey. He's a professor of Tolkien lore at a university. And for Wired, he did 2 like answering fan questions about Tolkien
so like
lore.
Some deep nerdy shit, like
deep,
like even
deep
beyond
cut.
the Silmarillion, like into the Book of Unfinished Tales, like all those.
Yeah, he's like, in Appendix A of this and this and this, and it clearly says this. So like he basically like solicits questions from the fans, and it could be like easy stuff, or it could be like really fucking deep in the woods stuff. And right now, I think there's like 40 minutes of answers that he's done. The last one he did was January. And I listened to him yesterday. And I was like, man, this shit like makes me hyped for Lord of the Rings content again. And,
supposedly Amazon is dumping billions of dollars in.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's $500 million for the first season alone. That includes $250 million that they paid for the rights just to make it. Right. Still.
Yeah, I mean they're not afraid to dump cash into this. Let's just hope it gets a little more positive response than another expensive series that has already fizzled out in Jupiter's Legacy. And before people start laughing at that, like, hey, I've heard all the reviews and shit, but my stance on that is like I'm still gonna check it out. I'm not someone who's just like reads people like, oh, it fucking sucks, blah, and I'm just like, no, okay, I'm done. I still want to investigate, and I've started watching it. Yes, some of the costume decisions are atrocious, like Duhamel as the old guy and like fake beards. Okay, like someone should get slapped for that shit. And the CG definitely is not Star Wars volume-esque. But I think overall, the story and what they're trying to tell is actually pretty interesting. It's pretty violent. It's pretty edgy in terms of like, drugs and sex and this and that. And
yeah. I was actually impressed by it, and I was pretty sad.
So you've watched all 8 then?
I haven't watched all 8. I've gotten
I think I'm
more than halfway through.
I'm up to 4, I believe.
Yeah, I'm either at 5 or 6. And I liked the story, and that's the thing that I was going to say is like the costumes look dumb, and I feel like what they tried to get too close to the boys. Yeah. In terms of like how things looked. And that's where they kind of got kicked in the nuts. And I will agree that Josh Duhamel, however you say his name, and then Leslie Bibb as like these older characters, like they're aged itself looks
like they look, and they're actually good actors. Like they act, like there's good acting in this series too. It's just they made a few weird visual choices, but I actually read. I guess the true reason it got canned is because it ballooned and cost. It was like over $200 million. DeKnight, the guy that was first running it, he eventually left. They had to bring someone in. So it sounds like it wasn't so much the negative critical response.
But the cost.
It was more the cost, and the production was a pain in the ass, and they're probably like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah. Apparently, Netflix is not completely killing that genre.
They're sticking
they're going to do
the guys,
like a super villain,
right? Super crooks or some shit. Yeah. So, I mean, it's disappointing. I'm gonna finish the season knowing that we're not going to get a follow up, and I'm not going to go read the fucking graphic novels that it's based on. But I don't know. That's just one of those deals where it's funny how if an internet thing gets started, especially with reviews, and that's why people review bomb, because they know it fucking works with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of like, oh, this shit's stupid. Don't waste your time. Even Stuntby is like, this looks like fucking shit. It's garbage. And I know who did the stunts and blah. He's like, it's so dumb. It got canceled. He's laughing at it. I was like, I still want to check it out. And like I said, I think I'm 3 or 4 in, and I'm committed. It's good enough. It's fucking not real life, and it's on TV. I'm all for it. I don't want to watch real life TV. Go fuck yourself.
Like I know that like the comparison to that show is always going to be The Boys, and like
I don't get that.
It's just like it's so different.
Thank you. It's not even close. Like The Boys is straight up X-rated superheroes. Like fucked up. If superheroes were fucked up.
Yeah.
They are. I get you. They are a little more.
Edgy, violent.
They're a little more human, right? Like they show their human emotions more than a Superman would, or a Batman. This type of shit.
That's why I liked it. Is because it's still a superhero narrative,
right? But it's more of a drama versus a just fucking testosterone filled, in your face, over the top gore fest. I love The Boys. I ain't talking shit.
Like The Boys can get like, to me, we're almost finished season 2, and like at times it just gets tiring because it's just like it's just violence for the sake of violence, which like I'm all
about that though. Like, I am a demented individual. I mean, I love glorified violence. I mean, decapitations, despinings.
Like I don't mind it, but at certain points it's just like, dude, this is just like it's just stupid at this point. And then like I also feel like in The Boys, like the narrative stalls. Like even with like the short number of episodes per season, because the episodes are so long, you feel like if you have a 2-episode stretch where like the narrative stalls, it really fucking drags.
I guess that's the one good thing about Legacy is they're 45 minutes or less. I mean, they're like
they could do they do whatever time they want,
super quick. So we're getting. I guess we've touched on some things with the fans here. Both Rick Emmert, Joe, who's Klondike, and a Star Wars Toy Story, all on the live stream here. If you ever want to join us, we typically are on YouTube Tuesday afternoons. You can join the live stream. They're all, some are saying Legacy's stupid, but they're all saying Sweet Tooth, which is definitely on my radar. I mean, that's an RDJ produced property. I believe it's based on a DC comic. It's the one where like humans start to evolve into beasts almost. That's definitely on the list here. So, all right. Well, I guess we should talk some Star Wars. But yeah, Star Wars Holocron, definitely interested in that LOTR animated movie. As well. Anything Lord of the Rings, I'm all for. It's just it's died off since Jackson finished The Hobbit. It's just it's such an old property that unless something is in the mainstream, there's really nothing to talk about. Yeah,
I mean, maybe once the LOTR narrative picks up on Amazon's side, then Matt and I may have a few more tangents in Tolkien's realm at that point. Yeah, I mean, I think we're still a year out from that.
Thanks to Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings skyrocketed up my list of these are things that make my life whole. And Star Wars is always going to be number 1, but Lord of the Rings is like a 1.5. Because I went nuts after those movies. I bought all the books, all the unfinished books. I mean, this is why I had a shitty college GPA. Because all I would do is sit in class and fucking read random Tolkien musings about how he formed the Dwarven language.
Yeah, exactly.
Or why the dwarfs look this way because of this or that. It's like there's such a fucking history. All right, man, let's
really
get back to our Star Wars stuff here. Okay.
Yeah.
So Bad Batch, Battle Scars, we both enjoyed it, right? We both enjoyed it. So let's kind of get down into some of the eggs and references. Easy ones here, obviously, right from the get-go. I'm not going to lie, Nick, on my notepad, when they did that just eye reveal, I was like, oh, fuck, is that Ahsoka? Because if you look, the eyes are overly large and the skin does look a little orange, the way it is presented, the tone and everything. But obviously we find out it's our boy, the Captain. Yeah. He's back. He was the one the Martez sisters were talking to last week. And sure as shit, for those of you that think these are just filler, I mean, they're progressing things pretty quickly, right? I mean, it was just last week. They're like, hey, we found some rogue clones we thought you may be interested in. And lo and behold, guess who's hanging out in Sid's diner or whatever, hangout bar by episode 7, our buddy Captain Rex.
That was the surprise. I was really thinking that given the longer... I guess the larger episode count in this show, that we would take a little bit longer to get to that immediate follow-up. But no, they fucking hit it right away. So it was nice to see, though. I know that a lot of people were talking about filler this and filler that. So those of you who are bitching about it can't really bitch about this one.
No, yeah, and Rex is a fucking man. G1 for life. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Hideous wants to start shitting all over the new Zalbar Black Series figure. Don't worry, that's we're saving that for the end, but that is one of the worst looking figure reveals I've ever seen. All right, moving on with our list of eggs and references. Little one there for you, Tones buddy. All right, the Mantell mix. Now, I'll be honest, I did notate it because I was like, they're really going out of the way to fucking feature this Mantell mix. It could mean something. And sure as shit, one of our diehards in our Discord chimed in our spoiler channel and said, hey, the Mantell mix is just like the Outpost mix from Galaxy's Edge. And that was Scion XTC. So thank you, sir. I didn't have to do any research on my notes. It was done for me. That's how I like it.
Hand it to him.
And apparently, according to Bat, another one of our more active fans, it's disgusting. So
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I would. You haven't had it, Mr. Disney?
I have not,
okay.
But the food that we did have at Galaxy's Edge was probably the best what they call in Disney quick service food that you can get in any.
Did you eat in the cantina then, or did you eat at like the Ronto roast or whatever the fuck it's called?
So we went to Oga's Cantina and had drinks there. The drinks were actually pretty cool and good. I almost got kicked out because my 20-year-old
I remember
cousin
that.
was with us, and
breaking the
Taylor
law,
and I just kind of tucked her
law.
behind us, and we were passing her alcohol, and we got scolded. But we did eat at the sit down place, which I think is the Ronto roast. Yeah,
it's Ronto something, or they have like a big fake Ronto leg.
Yes, we ate there. Taylor had like a shrimp and noodle dish, and I had the pot roast, and they were both fucking delicious. So,
and then the price cost you $50 for the meal, but hey, money doesn't matter when you're at Disney, right? You just let it flow.
Because we had usually when we go, we'll buy the meal pass, like the Disney meal pass. So I think it's like $300 or $400 per person, but you get to eat in all the parks for free. Like once you pay that, the $300.
You're returning to your big Caminita family trip this fall, right?
Yes, we're going in November again. So,
and you always go to Florida, so like the one that's just going to be loaded with crazy people and COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, I can't. Like I told you offline, I'm being coerced into going to an amusement park myself. I mean. You know, some people, once these new regs came out from the CDC, they're like, yeah, party on, Wayne. It's like, okay. All right. I mean, Cedar Point's in a part of Ohio where I'm sure there's not a lot of vaccinations taking place. But what do I know? Who gives a shit? I'm vaccinated. Fuck the kids, right?
They'll be fine.
Yeah, fuck those kids. They're impervious to this type of shit. I am kind of looking forward to it. It's just, it worries me a bit because we just can't trust our fellow Americans here. But anyways, all right. Up next in our round of eggs in Star Wars references for Battle Scars. Braca. All right. I mean, this was a planet specifically created for Jedi Fallen Order. And even on the planet, you could see a bunch of the Venator class Star Destroyers or Republic cruisers, Jedi cruisers, as they were called in the show. So clearly a nice reference there. This is one that I liked. Again, a great little crossover tie-in to the Clone Wars. You get to see that Rex is still whipping his BTL that he kind of jacked from that cruiser that he and Ahsoka were on when Order 66 kicked off. And then Jesse and the rest of the 332nd tried to murder them. Yeah. So that just, I like that little shit. I mean, it's just little shit that people probably don't even notice. It wasn't even mentioned in the official StarWars.com trivia recap for this episode. So that's how I know I should have that person's job, because I do better recaps with these little nuances than they do. But no, I like that he kept it. And it looks like, he's still sporting the Republic crest is still on there. Yep. You would think, considering he's definitely being a rebel at this point, that they might have repainted it at least, or maybe
I would say color change.
Yeah, maybe ditch the logo. But hey, it's Rex, right?
Yeah, man. He, like you said, he's still fighting for the Republic in the show. In this episode, he mentions that he's still fighting for the Republic in a way. So
right. I know, because Hunter's like, "Hey, bro, the Republic's gone," but he's like, "I'm still." What Rex said is, "I'm still fighting for the forces of good, against the forces of oppression." I mean, that's what the G1s do, right? All right. As they're walking to find the cruiser, again, the whole plot of this episode was a direct callback to the final 2 episodes of Clone Wars. Why are we here? Well, Rex, he knows the only way to get these chips out are based on his own experience, and that is going to a Jedi cruiser. So here we are. But en route, he actually name drops Fives. So I like to get that deep in my references. We all know Fives, rest in peace. He was key in Rex at least having a moment of pause, so he didn't just shoot Ahsoka right away. Yep. So Fives is a fucking huge character in the Star Wars narrative. Honestly, they should erect a statue for him. The clones should. Yeah, the more I think about it, Rex, Wolf, and Gregor should have built a memorial for Fives. They
had that big ass walking whatever. They had room to at least have like a memorial to him on there or something for sure. Yeah,
because really, if you think about it, if it wasn't for Fives, Rex would have murdered Ahsoka hands down.
Yep.
And then he probably would have been used to murder the Bad Batch with Crosshair. Game over. Yeah. So Fives, we love you, buddy.
And then no Grogu, no Luke Skywalker return.
Exactly.
Nothing in the Mandalorian.
Everyone dies. If it wasn't for Fives, everyone would be dead.
Everybody be dead.
Palpatine wins. Okay, so here it is, the controversial pick. Really, what was the monster that grabbed Wrecker? Well, as I said in my video, it was identified as a Dianoga, the same thing that was swimming in the Death Star trash pit that the heroes were trapped in A New Hope. As Nick said, they even kind of set it up. I mean, I was expecting it, didn't see the eye. Even when it shot up, I'm like, this is still one, right? And luckily, closed captioning did kind of highlight that.
I was going to say, without closed captioning, dude, that would have been, like, you could have, like, gone out on a limb and said, like, it's probably a Dianoga, even though we don't actually see the one identifying feature.
I would have committed to it still. I would have committed to it still, because it was set up to be that way. You had that murky water with parts in it, just like Luke was. I mean, I even think you could see a shadow there for a second. And we do know that it does have a tentacle, and it can grab people and suck them down. So I was going to run with it either. I just like that the closed captioning gave me the validation, because we all know around here, I like to be right a lot more than I like to be wrong. All right, so just another cool reference here back to the Clone Wars. Like I said, the final 2 episodes from that excellent final season was the same medical bay that Ahsoka and the droids used to save Rex. Rex now kind of figured out with Tech's help how to use it to save the batch. And there's some good personal touching moments that occurred in this medical bay too, and I think some of you touched on those on your fan responses. So Good for you. And then finally, at the end, we get a better look at the Scrapper Guild. More importantly, they're whipping their poncho, which we saw Cal Kestis first wearing at the onset of Jedi Fallen Order before he was outed as a Force user and had to start his main journey.
Yeah.
All right, so that's
a good catch, because honestly, like most of these I picked up on, but I did not catch the poncho. So that was a solid pickup there.
Nick,
Because I guess like he did work in like a scrapyard.
He was in the Scrappers Guild. Like he was wearing this exact same poncho. I mean, you can go check out the trailers, the early cutscenes from the beginning of the game. He's definitely sporting this garb. All right. So now on to our key moments. Clearly, Rex. He's back. He made his debut. I was off by about 5 episodes on my prediction, but at least I kind of doubled down last week and said that he would be the mystery figure, which indeed he was. And it was great. It was great to see him. I mean, anytime you get a character that has been in the Star Wars lore for this long to show up in a new series like this, it's always going to provide longtime fans with a smile. I don't think it's the same type of smile as the Luke Mando moment. I don't know if we'll ever get one of those again.
Yeah,
that was just it was just too many stars were aligned for that Luke moment to just really be as special as it was. But same deal here. It's like, all right, we know Rex. We've known him since 2008. He's an established brand. He's one of the first speaking clones, one of the first named clones. So getting him in this series, even it's looking like it is going to be spotty, it really helped to kind of loop these guys into the greater Star Wars lore-averse, if you will.
For sure.
All right. And then our little girl, still. All right. Now, we could argue that she probably didn't need to use the Force to tell that Rex was a G1 clone, considering that she was born and raised on Kamino and has kind of seen how clones are produced and accelerated.
Yeah.
But it's a very, she is so observant of the world. Like she can see everything. She can sense things. She knows things, more things than a little girl of her age probably would.
I almost got a feeling that like they almost treated Omega as like a lab assistant when she was at Kamino because of what you said. Like, oh yeah, you're a Gen 1 clone because of the lines on your face.
Does everyone understand what a G1 clone is? They were made 10 years before the Clone Wars started. They were the first fucking batch that SWTS commissioned. So, I mean, Rex was being grown. He was fully grown by the time Attack of the Clones happened. So that's what a G1 clone means. They were the ones first produced the 10 years prior to Attack of the Clones when SWTS ordered them.
Yeah, and then like the level of knowledge that she had about the inhibitor chips, even without like being tutored by tech or anything like that. So it almost feels like she wasn't treated like, I mean, clearly she wasn't treated like any other clone when she was there, but it almost seems like they were teaching her things. Like they were telling us, like, oh yeah, these are Generation 1 clones. Right. You can tell because they look older. Their face lines, like this is an inhibitor chip. Like you don't have one of these, but they do because of this. And
they definitely made her for a reason. She was made out of special juice, as they've said. I mean, the whole reason Fennec's hunting her down is because they need her DNA to try their last-ditch effort to make the old mega super-duper clone that the Empire couldn't refuse. All right, we know that's all going to fail because the Empire moves on with War Mantle and the idiots that can't hit the broadside of a barn door. But clearly she's made up of a little more special DNA than what the Jango sample had to offer. And they also mentioned that the Jango sample is all but broken down at this point in time.
Correct.
So we got a good one in here from Kingdom of Weird when he's referencing Omega. So the lines on his face, did she mean the wrinkles on his face or the fact that the clones have like 3D printer lines coming out of the tube? So good one there, Kingdom of Weird. And Brando Calrissian, 100%. The Expanse to me is a must watch for any sci-fi lover. Free on Prime Video right now, seasons 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. I think we got one more season coming. All right. I absolutely appreciated, if not enjoyed, Rex's reaction to Bad Batch still having their chips. I mean, they all know they had their chips in. We've seen Wrecker with his head. I've called that out since episode 3. I didn't quite think it would play out the way it did, but we'll get there. But the moment Rex learns, I mean, I have the image up on the live stream. He looks at them with eyes of a murderer. Like, he wants to kill them immediately.
Dude, like, he went for his gun.
Yes!
He was about to just be like, you still have the...
Exactly.
Boom, boom, boom. Just take him out.
Yeah, I love that. And it just goes to show you Rex ain't fucking around at this point in time. Right?
No, can you blame him? Like, literally his entire ship, like an entire ship
his
full
squad.
of
I mean, he was, you gotta remember,
soldiers.
he got promoted to commander. I think he was a commander by that point. So they were his. He was still reporting to Ahsoka, but they all turned on him, including Jesse, one of his, OG bros. So he knows that his former brothers cannot be trusted if that chip is active. And he showed us what he is willing and ready to do as soon as he found out that the Bad Batch still had their chips. I mean, as Nick said, he was going right for that piece, getting ready to pop, pop, pop.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, that like his first reaction isn't like, okay, let's get this out of you.
I'm gonna kill you.
It's like, I'm gonna fucking blast you to pieces.
It even says, he's like, you don't know. Like, you never know when it's gonna happen, and once it's flipped on, you're done. You're essentially, you become a puppet, just like the B1s and B2s. Yeah. So again, this is a learned Rex. He saw what happens with this chip. He knows what goes down once Order 66 is activated in a clone's head, and it is not a good thing. I mean, because clearly the clones are a bunch of assholes now. I mean, they are true stormtroopers at this point in time. They're just being rolled out to occupy cities to make them feel secure, so the Empire can essentially take over their freedoms. I believe, the whole Cut thing, I think Cut at some point had his chip removed. I don't know. I mean, you would think at least by the time Rex came through, Rex was like, yo, motherfucker, do you have a chip or not? Literally holding a gun to his face, like, motherfucker, you got a chip? Cut! You got a chip, bitch! And he's like, yo, chill out. What are you talking about? I already took that out, or... I don't know, take it out, and they dealt with it. So we'll leave it at that. But yeah, that might be a slight plot hole, but... there's definitely something different with Cut. We'll just say he either had it removed prior, or when Rex rolled through right before the Bad Batch, he made sure that he fucking took care of it.
He fucking ripped it out of his head.
You just see like Rex, he's all manic when he sees a clone. He's just like, that motherfucker, you got a chip? You got a chip? I'm gonna fucking whack you, bitch. He's like, all right. So I love that reaction, and it was key. It showed, Rex he's got a little more of a hard edge to him these days, especially when it comes to clones. All right, Rex on Braca, if you paid attention when they were on the planet to what he was saying, the whole time he was walking up to find that ship, he was essentially reminiscing, re-experiencing those final moments on that Jedi cruiser. I mean, he was telling him, like, oh my God, like these ships and... fuck, and it was just, I just really appreciated him kind of recounting how that ordeal went down, and clearly, I mean, he makes a veiled reference to Ahsoka when they're like, how did you do it? How did you get away and get the chip out? He's like, well, I had help from a good friend, stuff like that. So I just like all that little stuff. Like I said, it's these little breadcrumbs that connect past Star Wars with present Star Wars and hopefully into the future. That's what I live for. All right. That's what I live for.
100%.
All right, here it is. I've been warning everyone. I was off a bit. I thought it would actually cost the batch more than it actually did, but Wrecker finally had his break, and it made sense narratively. I mean, yeah, you might as well have his break when Rex is around, right? So we can just directly address it and move on from that plot point. But Wrecker definitely had his turn, and I think, Nick, at this point in time, I think we can say that somehow through the chip, clones can be programmed to know who are at least traitors to the Empire, because there was no Force people in the room, maybe Omega, but he immediately was like, you, and you You're all traitors to the fucking Empire. You're gonna die.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's like he can sense the chips in others, but if that was the case, then like Rex probably would have slid by. But it was like he's like, everybody here is a traitor.
Right. So the way I position it in my breakdown, which, hey, I implore everyone to check out. I do them every Friday after the episode airs, usually within an hour and a half or so. It'll be up on our YouTube because I'm a crackhead and I get up at 5:36 in the morning to do it. But what I'm like, I mean, it is technically, it's a radio connected device, right? So the Empire could most definitely download a database of shitheads to it at a regular basis. Yeah, hey, here's all the remaining Jedi and what they look like. Here's all the traitors to the Empire and what they look like. And this just organically fits into the clones' brains and how they make decisions and who they know to kill. But he sure as fuck instantly knew that X, Y, and Z, his brothers, were all traitors because they aren't good soldiers and they weren't following orders.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. I mean, it could be something very similar to the database that we saw in The Mandalorian, where like he needs to do a fucking face scan and see if he's
right. Well, I mean, Nick, you know what that is? That's the code, or what do they call them? Chain code system that we're seeing put in place right now. Mando just was able to avoid it because remember, he was saved during the Clone Wars by the nut jobs who clearly would not be falling in with the Empire's new system to record everyone's identities. But he's in it now because his little buddy had to save him. But it just at this point, I mean, I don't think they can sense people. It's almost the chip through regular updates or communications. I mean, if an Order 66 can make a clone go from a fun-loving gorilla type of guy to a murder machine, just with an order, just with words, clearly they could probably download other shit to let clones know who needs to be wasted.
Yeah. I would imagine so. So yeah, I think you may be onto something there. I think that's probably the most likely reason why they can identify everybody so easily.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I thought that was it was an interesting thing to just like immediately, as soon as he activated in full, he's like, all right, you guys need to die. What do we got here? All right, all chips removed. I mean,
all chips removed,
not super exciting, but it takes that plot point off the table now. That's gone.
Yeah.
We don't, unless there's some secret shit or I don't know if it was Tones or somebody in this chat, what if Omega actually does have a secret chip that we haven't found out about? That's probably going to be more than likely, when it just looks like they're winning. Maybe the Kaminoans will do something with Omega if she does have a chip. But at this point in time, at least our boys, the Batchers, it's gone. So outside of Crosshair, we don't really have to worry about any of them getting too wonky at this point in time. So definitely a key revelation for the series moving forward. And all right,
I mean, really, it sets up the next, like the back half of the series, because I mean, literally from the beginning until now, you're constantly worried, like, when is one of them going to turn? When's the chip going to come in? And then now, after the meeting with Rex and having the chips removed, you're probably going to have a change in point of contact relatively soon, because it seems like the relationship with Sid is getting a bit soured. And then you're going to have them completely off of this, like, chip thing. Like, they can just function in the galaxy without having to worry
I got to address some of the bozos in the chat here.
Oh, no.
All right. Okay. I might give you that on record, but then how do any of the other clones know who to target, you smart asses?
What were they saying?
You're like, well, Wrecker knows that they already didn't follow Order 66. So when the chip turns on, that's how he knows they're traitors. Like, okay, but what about all the other fucking clones who are going to be that are being used to find other traitors? How do they know they're traitors? How do they know?
Yeah.
Tell me now, you smart asses. How do they know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess too, though, like, I mean, then you could follow up with saying, like, well, if that was the case, then why didn't the stormtroopers who were in the scrap facility that Cal Kestis worked at recognize him?
Yeah,
because like there were, there were clones that were there. I mean, there were stormtroopers that were there at that point.
Well, I don't think they were clones at that point in time, though. Like Fallen Order is still a few years even after this Bad Batch timeline.
Okay, so it's if it's okay, so it might not have been clones then. So that would kind of get you away from there. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's like an open question, but you have to imagine that it makes sense. I mean, just think of like any fucking sci-fi thing, like RoboCop. RoboCop just gets shit uploaded to his head, and he's like, "That's a bad guy."
So all you assholes in there that think my idea is stupid, here's my last song on that. Go fuck yourselves. All right. How dare you try to tell me I'm wrong on this show? Keep those thoughts to yourself.
It would be difficult to like just have like memory or like something else tell them that these people are bad. Like I feel like the chip being like the information relay is probably as close as we can get to what's actually happening. It
makes sense to me, and that's all that matters. So
yeah.
All right, let's call out people that were wrong. Big Amish is wrong. Darth Hideous is wrong. Brando's wrong. Kingdom of Weird, I don't know where you're going, but I kind of like it, so you're not that wrong. All right, that's it for now. Thank you.
That's it. Everybody else, you're okay.
Yeah, that's another callback to Half Baked. Fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you. I'm out. Like that.
Yeah.
All right. I know everybody. I know everyone is sensitive in our fan base, so I'm just fucking around. Okay, it's all right if you have your own thoughts on this stuff. I have to put.
Maybe we'll find out.
I have to put disclaimers up there now because some people have accused me. Remember, I'm main dude that gets too loud and silly, or I'm just mean. So I always got to like clear the air after one of those one of those lashings. All right, back to this. All right, are you assholes going to tell me now that he wasn't talking to Ahsoka Tano on his communicator? Huh? You know he was talking to her. I mean, we could hear him. He's talking about a resistance. Bop, 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 bop. He's talking to Ahsoka, all right?
Yeah.
So there's no controversy here. You guys are going to take what I just told you and live with it.
Yeah.
But it seems like at this point in time, Ahsoka and Rex wasted zero time. They know exactly what happened. Like they actually, they went through a shitty ordeal, but they have the bonus of knowing that shit is bad. Empire equals bad. I mean, Maul told Ahsoka as much what was going to happen, but they watched it play out in real time and survived. So they have not wasted any time at all at forming the seeds of the rebellion. So the rebellion, while we could say it dates all the way back to the prequel era, which it does through a cutscene in Revenge of the Sith, but clearly through Saul's units, what Rex and Ahsoka are up to, they are getting things started early. The curious thing, and who knows if Bad Batch is going to cover this or if it just gets glossed over because it's ultimately not that important. Hey! Important! Yeah, Hulks! What am I, fucking Porky the Pig? But shit, I just lost where I was going. But if Rex was so involved at a resistance/rebellion this early on, why does he get all fat and retire with his brothers on a Clone Wars era tank in some fucking desert at one point in time?
At some point, he's got to be like, I'm too. He pulls like a Murtaugh. He's like, I'm too old for this shit, and then he fucking bounces out for a little while. Or they're like tracking him. Like somehow they're tracking him, and then him and the other two former clone troopers have to like make their way to some sort of isolated spot. Like that's the only reason that he would disassociate himself with the rebellion.
I mean, we know he comes back too, but it just seems weird that like you're so invested in this, like as he says, protecting the Republic, yet he ends up kind of letting himself go a bit and just hanging out fishing for desert monsters with two other fat old clones.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how they get him there. If this show follows all the way as long as we think it can, I mean, you can essentially see his.
A 16 episode run first season just to me screams this is a series.
Yeah, exactly.
not just like a Kenobi one-off. I feel like this is going to continue on, hopefully as many seasons, if not more, in the Clone Wars. Who knows? It seems like they like keeping their season count low these days. I mean, Rebels sadly ended after 4. Really, so Dave, I think, can move on and do what he's doing now. But it was great. I mean, Rex, he foreshadows plenty. Like, he's not done with the show. I don't think we'll see him again until the finale, if not a second season, if we get one. But they both make it pretty clear, like, hey, I'll be watching you if you're watching me. Like, if shit fucks up, come find me. If shit fucks up, come find me. So, I mean, Hunter and Rex, you know, they're both leaders in their own right, and they kind of let each other know, like, listen, now that we found each other, now that I know that you idiots have those chips out of your heads and I can trust you, when you're ready to fight the good fight, after you deal with your daddy-daughter thing, come find me. And Hunter's like, yo, well, just make sure we can reach you as well, because we might need your help. So I don't think we'll see, like I said, I think Rex is going to be used sparingly, which he should. I mean, this isn't his show. He had 7 years of animation. Almost when he come in like season 2. So
I was say 9
yeah,
years,
about 9
almost.
or 10 years of animation. So, you know, we don't want him to be a camera hog. But anytime he comes back in, you know it's going to open up some memories, emotions, if not give us some more connective tissue to past and future Star Wars. Yep. And last but not least, from this episode, a key moment, there's our boy Rex again. We love you, buddy. But at the end, we find out, and who the fuck knows how this is going on. I mean, was the Scrapper Guild told to watch out for people? But clearly this Scrapper guy is an Imperial informant, because he radios in like, hey, I see them. They're just coming out of the Jedi Cruiser now. So,
I mean, you got to figure that the Empire knows that this is essentially a Republic tech, you know, graveyard. So you could have, you know, people who are starting to build up a rebellion, trying to go there to salvage parts potentially.
Well, yeah, all the ties to the Jedi too. I mean, those were essentially the Jedi
like
fleet.
A wealth of material.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Jedi fleet. So,
yeah.
But I mean, the way this show's moving, whoever he's talking to, we'll probably see the result of it next week or coming up on Friday. I mean,
shit picks up pretty quickly. They don't waste any time.
Like we might finally get back and see what's going on with the Empire, because we've kind of been away from them for 2 or 3 episodes now. I believe it was I think the last time we checked in with Crosshairs, when, you know, he murdered all those people and then went back to the batch room and kind of seemingly felt bad about, or was wondering what the hell he's doing with his life.
Yeah.
If this person was talking to the Empire, then, you know, maybe we'll get a little bit this Friday. There's always the chance that, you know, maybe the Empire did hire Fennec and it's not the Kaminoans, and maybe Fennec will make another appearance this week. But either way, someone is on their tail. Like they've been ratted out, and now they're probably going to be found out on Ord Mantell. So I would guess, if this follows through, that their home base, man, I'm way off today. Their home base could be exposed very soon. So there you go.
I do not foresee them lasting on Ord Mantell longer than 2 more episodes.
Even if the Empire doesn't come for him, or Fennec, I just like Sid at some point in time is going to try to cash in. Like, come on.
Yeah.
she's as shady as it gets. I mean, she reminds me of a Grief Karga. Like, they seem good, but they'll definitely do shady shit if need be to make some cash.
Yeah. Like,
you remember the only reason Grief and Mando are buddies is because Grief had a brick of Beskar on his heart that kept him alive. I mean, they were trying to kill each other at the end of S1E3.
Yeah, literally, Grief has the entire bounty hunters guild basically trying to kill this motherfucker. And if it wasn't for the rest of the bunker boys showing up, he would have been roasted. Yeah,
so it's good stuff. Bad Batch has not disappointed, and Nick's right. I believe we even got a tweet from one of someone involved with the show, but they essentially said, first half over, we're rolling into the second half, which makes sense, because we get episode 8 this Friday. So you may see a shift in tone, maybe a shift in the kind of the direction of the episodes, the speed of the episodes. But we're rounding second base at this point in time, making our way towards home on the Bad Batch, which, when it's all said and done, is essentially going to be a summer-long series. I don't think it's going to wrap until sometime in August.
Yeah, I mean, you got 8 weeks left, so we're middle of June now, so you got middle of August.
Do you think that's why they put Loki on Wednesday? because Bad Batch is taking the Friday Disney Plus.
It would be weird. I mean, they could. I mean, it's streaming platform, so you could watch it whenever you want. But I feel like they want to have separate days for all of their series. I'm telling you
right now, like I was excited for Loki. I wanted to watch it, but I could not watch it until Friday. It was like I just could not do it.
Yeah, I think we watched it yesterday.
Yeah, so you couldn't do it either. Like you can't, like watching a Disney Plus show like that is, to me, it's not Wednesday TV. It's just not.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been watching Kim's Convenience during the week.
Oh, okay. What's his name's on there? A brand new Star Wars character.
Simu Liu, Shang-Chi.
Yeah. No, the old guy, the dad.
Oh.
He played Trapper Wolf's co-pilot in The Mandalorian. I forget his Star Wars name at this point in time, so I'm going to punish myself after the show. That's the type of useless information I should retain in my brain. Not important stuff. All right, dude. So really the next round of topics, like I said, we got some meat, just not bullshit this week. I mean, yeah, there's some rumors, but there's like some bona fide leaks. There's some interviews. My God, I'm sucking in a lot of air today. So let's start with this first one here where, who is this? Liam Neeson was talking with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel. That's why I love the guy. I mean, he's a big stoner, big stern buddy. But clearly he likes Star Wars too, because anytime he gets one of these people on a show and they're promoting other work, he always has some form of Star Wars stuff planned or questions. But he essentially asked Liam, like, hey, you going to be involved in Kenobi, right?
Dude, it's weird too when you think about it. If you think about how long ago like TPM came, it was 22 years ago TPM came out. That's insane to think about, first off, because it really dates you as a Star Wars fan. And then two, like Liam Neeson has only ever been in one piece of Star Wars content. Like he may have done voiceover for some other appearances, but like he's only been in TPM as himself. But every time he goes on an interview, I guarantee you somebody asks him about Star Wars.
That's like, I don't know if that's a curse or a blessing, because I would think anyone in the entertainment industry, as long as people are talking to you about your life and career, it's probably a good thing. Yeah, I'm sure these people get annoyed because like, fuck you, Star Wars.
He's like, dude, I was in 3 fucking Taken movies. Like I'm the baddest, right, actor ever. Like,
yeah. No, I love. I always reflect back to the Phantom Menace. I need to just stop today. Like the brain is not firing on all 4 cylinders, because I only have a fucking V4. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's no V6 or 8 in this head. But it is definitely sputtering today with the old translating thoughts into the mouth and then the mouth forming the words properly.
Yeah.
But I swear to God, Liam Neeson was not used in any of the pre-release promotions, was he? For Phantom Menace?
Oh no, it was all Jake Lloyd.
Right.
And then you had Maul, and then you had Ewan.
Yeah, because I shit you not, I remember the first time I watched this and I saw Liam Neeson as a Jedi, I was like, holy shit. Yeah, they got Liam Neeson in Star Wars. Like, holy shit! I
mean, it's a hard. Like, he would at that point. He was a hard sell because nobody knew who he was. No, like, they give you the big bad. Right. They give you Maul, right, and then they give you Anakin and Obi-Wan, like the 2 people you know.
I just remember I was like, wow, an actor of that caliber is in Star. Like, he's playing a Jedi, because before that he was doing like Rob Roy and those big drama movies. I mean, he's always been a pimp. Yeah, I just remember going into the theater and like, holy shit, I did not know he was in there. I mean, that was the beauty of the time back then without the internet, and you get whatever type of trailer whenever you want it. You either had to go to a movie to watch the trailer, or somehow find a file on someone's AOL share out there. But even
you just went in blind. You just didn't
exactly.
know shit.
And I remember that being a great feeling. Like, oh my God, Liam Neeson's a Jedi. This is fucking badass. Yeah, the prequels. Woohoo! They can't go wrong. And then 2005, I'm walking out crying like, oh my God, what did they do to Star Wars? What did they do to Anakin? So it was a little, it didn't quite play out the way I thought when I saw Liam as Qui-Gon Jinn. But anyways, like Nick said, Kimmel was dragging up his Star Wars past, and probably asking him about the Ewan and this Kenobi deal. And this is what Liam said, right? I heard Ewan McGregor was going to do a series. No, I don't think so. No, I haven't been approached. Essentially addressing, are you in it?
Yeah, and even Jimmy to this point was like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't 100% believe you.
Right.
Because like, here, I mean, like if Liam's going to be in this show at all, it's going to have to be purely voice related, because we know as Star Wars fans that that Qui-Gon did not achieve the ability to completely become a Force ghost.
Right.
Like he lives on through the Force, but he doesn't have the same ability that like Obi-Wan and Anakin and Yoda do. Like he can't go full Force ghost. So if anything, he's going to be in it in like voice form, like talking to Obi-Wan during his meditations or something like that.
I mean, come on. We're not idiots. These people, if they're involved, they sign NDAs that could cost them money in future work. Yeah. They're not going to tell
He's not going to be like, yeah, man, I'm in it.
Yeah, oh, Jimmy, you guessed it, you son of a gun. Now I got to talk about, yeah, you're right. I mean, Ewan himself basically has said for the past 6 years he's had to lie. Yeah, because he was in the Kenobi movie, which we know is real. It was verified last week when we had Vincent Jenkins on here, who worked on the fucking Kenobi movie before it was canceled. I mean, he did 6 months of concept art for it, pre-production. So, I mean, Ewan himself was lying about being in Kenobi for 6 years. Any of the rumors that actually hit in The Mandalorian, you didn't hear them confirm anything until their fucking episode aired. So, yeah, of course he's going to say, what are you talking about? I haven't been approached. I think this is just him knowing how to play the game. The Kenobi series is just too ripe for the character to return for more than just a random line spoken into the ether.
You have to remember, too, how episode 3 ended. Like, Yoda literally told Obi-Wan, like, through the Force, you know, your old master lives, or something similar to that. Like, and Obi-Wan's like, Qui-Gon, oh my God. Like, and then Yoda literally tells him, like, I'm going to teach you how to communicate with him.
And this is also expanded upon in the lost season of the Clone Wars. It's a thread with Yoda who does some there's some like trippy shit that goes down where he learns that he can talk to Qui-Gon.
Yeah. Like they go to, like, he goes to Dagobah and everything like that. I think at that, like,
I don't know if it's Dagobah, but he goes somewhere. It's not Mortis, but it's like Mortis, where there's like it's like Force shit everywhere.
Yeah. Like and I think that they show a Force ghost of Liam in that, or of Qui-Gon in that, but like I don't know if that was actually a Force ghost, or if that was just
at
like
this point in time, Nick. They change the lore and canon whenever they fucking want to. So I mean, if we do see Liam in Kenobi and he is a spirit, everyone be prepared.
Yeah,
especially those of you,
especially
those of you that get offended by slight alterations of the canon, like Moochie the Rancor. Like it's okay, all right. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
But I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I just it's too big, too ripe of an opportunity to reunite Jin and Kenobi in Kenobi. So I'm calling bullshit on Liam's Kimmel response.
Yeah, there's almost no way he's not in it. Like it's too clean and clear for it to happen.
Kenobi has no one else to talk to about his life. He can't like go talk to the Lars. It's like, man, do you guys know how hard it is to be a Jedi in this time? Like, man, it's just trying to focus my thoughts and stay centered and watch over this kid.
Could you imagine too if the only person he could talk to was Yoda? It would be like that one friend who used to call you on the phone every day, and you just be like, "Yeah, man, same shit's going on. Just another day." They would get so tired of each other.
I need meat sticks for me to eat. You know, because he would have been talking to Hobo Yoda, right? Like the crazy guy that Luke runs into. So he'd just be calling him up left and right, like beeping him like an old Nextel, like beep beep, Obi-Wan, beep beep. Kenobi. It's like,
He'd be like, I don't want to talk.
hello.
Right now,
Yeah, it's like,
is there anybody else? Anybody else in the force?
yeah, he's just like,
I can talk.
please. He's like, the Larses are boring as fuck, and Owen hates me anyways. I kind of want to hook up with Beru, so I'm just trying to stay away from there. It's like, I can't talk to the locals. They're all drunk or high on spice. So he needs someone to talk to that he can actually talk about his life, his feelings, and the Force. And clearly Qui-Gon would be a great lit sounding board, if you will.
Perfect.
And not the little green guy that talks backwards and you probably want to wring his neck after about 10 minutes of learning.
Yeah. So I think that one's a pretty clear cut one. And this next piece that we have too is just like, it's confirmed, right? Like it's basically confirmed that that
yeah, I mean, so Stellan Skarsgård we know is in Andor, right?
Yes.
And apparently he was on a Swedish radio station and just flippantly commented like, hey, I shared and this is his words, a juicy scene with Forrest Whitaker. All right, so
that's pretty big.
You put 2 and 2 together, and you kind of have to figure that means Saw Gerrera is going to be in Andor, which makes so much sense that it's not a shock. I just don't think they quite wanted that announced.
Coming out.
Yeah, because he goes on to say, again, Stellan's character has at least, and these are his direct words, at least 2 good moments with Saw Gerrera.
Yeah. So if that's the case, I mean, we don't have any sort of confirmation on who Stellan's playing in this show, but you would have to imagine that he's got to be playing some sort of rebel agent.
Well, yeah,
right?
yeah. He's either a freedom fighter that is working with Saul, or he's an Imperial that's hunting Saul and maybe captures him.
Say, like maybe captures
him.
him.
And interrogates or shit like that. But it's I mean, Stellan himself is saying his character and Forrest Whitaker, a.k.a. Saw Gerrera, have a juicy moment or a juicy scene, and they have at least 2 good moments in the series. So
yeah. I mean, him showing it, like, we've never actually speculated too much on, like, who could show up in Andor and who couldn't. But, I mean, this is the most obvious one. And even though he was in Rogue One for a shorter amount of time, like, his impact was pretty
But he's huge.
large.
I mean, look what they're doing with him even now. I mean, he started in Clone Wars. He graduated live action to Rogue One. He made it to Rebels. He's in fucking Bad Batch. He's clearly a main character during this era, this timeline in the Rebellion, and we know, he kind of goes off the rails. So the fact that he would be in a Rogue One prequel makes so much sense. Like I said earlier, I guess just none of us were thinking about it. I wish Forrest wouldn't perform the character the way he did in Rogue One. Maybe we'll see a slightly less schizophrenic Saul.
Yeah, I mean, maybe because you're talking about you're probably going to be roughly like 7 years pre-Rogue One.
You would think so, because
around that time.
Even the Saul that's featured in Rebels, while he's getting slightly pudgier, and I even think because I believe he's featured in 2 seasons. I mean, he gets some decent runs in Rebels, like at least two to 3 episode arcs. So again, like I said, he was a main force in this pre-actual rebellion, pounding their chest, blowing up Death Star era.
Yeah.
But I hope he plays him a little more like the Rebels Saul, who isn't completely nutty yet. Like, like that.
Maybe he's got both of his legs.
Right.
Still.
Yeah. He's not in his. And I read the reason they wanted Saul to look like this. Apparently, it was to be a metaphor for how good people like himself and Anakin can eventually become more of a machine than a man through their passions, their missions, their misguidings, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, like the more machine than man thing is more than just a reference to their bodies as well. It's their actions, and
right.
They're taking a more unrelenting view towards. Like humanity towards life in general.
He became very flippant with life in general, and that's why the core rebellion, he was an outcast. I mean, especially up towards them actually coming out, because I mean, their coming out moment is technically the end of Rebels, the battle on Lothal where they defeat Thrawn. I mean, that is like the Rebel Alliance is finally ready to be just that. It's no longer Rebel cells. Now it is that alliance that we Luke's dreaming about and that he eventually joins towards the end of A New Hope.
Yeah.
But he got too fucking flippant. He didn't care who he was killing, innocents or not, as long as he was damaging the Empire and exposing their atrocities. I mean, he didn't care about committing his own. So I'd like to see maybe, and we pretty much have that version on screen already. If you remember a flashback in Rogue One where he goes to save Jyn Erso, and it doesn't have the crazy man hair. That's probably the Saul we're going to get.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And they may have to do a little bit of the de-aging magic that they do at Disney for his character, but they've gotten pretty good at that. I'm excited to have him in there. I hope he's in it for more than just one episode.
No, he's huge.
Like he could be a crux of this series.
He's huge, and maybe that's how Andor gets in, and maybe that's why Cassian is essentially an assassin. He is a little more of an edgy type of rebel. But he does make perfect sense for Andor. It'll help just kind of flesh out more of what the rebellion was doing at the time and what his role with it is. Because like I said, he's now been heavily featured in the Clone Wars, in Rebels, in live action, and now it looks like he's going to get a second turn at the live stuff. So Saul Guerrero, whether he was meant to grow into the character that he is today, definitely has become a main, as I like to call characters like Saul. And I can rhyme because I can tell the time. Motherfucker, let's move on to the next post because I'm the host of the Star Wars Time Show. Yo!
Oh, Matt's spitting on here.
Get some. Yeah. All right.
So we're still talking about Rogue One here, except we're talking about the actual
Nick's buddy,
movie.
Gary Whitta. Oh! One other thing I forgot with the Saul Guerrero. Apparently, Ben Mendelsohn's going to be back in Andor too.
Okay,
Krennic.
so we're just bringing back Krennic,
which would make sense. I mean, how could you just not address the character of Krennic at that time? I mean, he still would have been a huge player within the Empire. He's building up the Death Star, his rival with Tarkin. You would think that even a cameo by Krennic would be warranted.
I mean, also like this is the smartest thing that Disney can do for this Andor series, because unquestionably Rogue One is the most loved of their movies so far. Yeah. Like it's not even close.
I'd say Rogue One, TFA.
Yeah, Rogue and TFA are the two most liked. And the fact that you're essentially building a prequel series to Rogue One allows you to just say like, hey, who did people like in that movie? Bring them back. Can we get them? Bring them back. All right, let's do this. Let's get K2 back in here. Fucking bring everybody that we can back to make this as Rogue One-ish as possible. So I mean, it makes complete and total sense.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you could argue that maybe Mads will show up. Galen Erso has potential.
Dude, he could definitely show
Bodhi
up.
Rook has potential. We could see him in the Empire, right? Being a pilot for the Empire. I mean, who knows how big of a Rogue One reunion they want to go? But I mean, any of those characters are viable. I think they'll probably stay away from the Chirruts and Bazes because they were more Guardians of the Will. Yeah, just stuck on Jeddah, but any of the players on the Rebel side or the Imperial side are fair game.
Yeah, I totally agree. So
what's your boy Whitta showing off here?
Gary's a good follow. You just gotta follow Gary Whitta.
I see it. That's what he fucking shared. Is that like a comedy post?
Dude, no. So Gary Whitta, he went on Twitter and he says, "All right, I found my original whiteboard sketch of essentially the big ending moment of Rogue One." So the moment where they're standing on the Scarif Spire and the Death Star shoots the fucking laser down and vaporizes.
I'm sorry, people. You got to be on the live stream for this one, or at least go check out our post, our Gary Whitta post on StarWarsTime.net. Because while I'm not doubting that this was Gary's initial sketch, I think he put it out as a joke. Like, look, this is my concept art here. I mean, this is something I could do. I love it. Yeah. It's literally look at it.
So what you see is in Gary's tweet. He has a whiteboard drawing of a green circle in the sky, shooting a green line down towards a triangle-shaped thing with a half circle on it.
Circles aren't even, they're not even circles. They're like my circles. They're you can't even call them ovals. They're like, just a thing that looks like a circle.
But the way he puts it is like, I found my original whiteboard sketch from the Death Star beam destroying the transmitter dish atop the Imperial Tower on Scarif. And then he says, ILM ended up doing a better job. So he
said ILM VFX ended up doing it slightly better.
Slightly better.
I mean, his sketch is something I could probably do with my eyes closed. That's why I'm laughing.
It's so hilarious. But it's so funny to see, like, the way that I put it in the post was that, like, it's pretty amazing that, like, a fucking, like, like that ILM and a visual effects person could literally look at that whiteboard and be like, yeah, okay, we can make something like that, and then makes the fucking scene that we see in Rogue
I mean,
One.
honestly, Nick, you got to wonder if it went from Gary's whiteboard to Vincent Jenkins' room, right?
So like, did Vincent
they do the actual concept art, and then ILM finishes off in the computers. But I don't know. I'm sorry, I did not look at that before now. It's just, it was funny to see, like, you're like, he's got some concept art, and you look at it, and it's a 5-year-old's drawing of a
it's literally
there's a circle,
just him with
a horizon line, a semicircle, and like a rudimentary looking Eiffel Tower structure with
Dude,
and that's it.
It was magical. And then in his drawing, if you look at it closely, like, there's another little dish that's hovering above
apparently
the
he was going to
tower.
have a rebel ship fitted with a big receiver dish to I guess make it easier to receive Jin's transmission.
Yeah, exactly. So no, like, I always love following Witta because he's got these little things on there. He always puts up little Star Wars things every now and then, so he's always a good follow. He's into gaming too, so if you're a gamer, you can follow him. He always throws up his little gaming takes and stuff like that with E3 now. So yeah, man, he's a good follow. But I just think it's fucking hilarious because that's how this shit happens.
Yeah.
Like, shit like Rogue One happens because Gary Whitta or whoever the writers are just sitting in a room, and he's like, what if it's fucking like this? And they just shoot a beam down, and they're just fucking drawing shit on chalkboard. It is
amazing. That's why, I mean, I love the creative process. That's why I love filmmaking. And really, that's what a lot of the interview with Vincent was about. It's just the love of filmmaking and taking an idea in your head, putting it to paper, and then seeing it realized either in a set or in VFX.
Yeah.
Speaking of good follows, and I'll say him again, Vincent Jenkins Jr., he just shared a post today, which was his original concept for the opening of Solo. And I kind of wish they followed it because it's fucking sweet. It's like one of it's like a slide post. But check him out. The guy we interviewed last week on the show, he's a concept artist for Star Wars. He worked on Solo, Rogue One, did some Andor stuff that made it into the sizzle reel you saw back in December. And like he told us, he was also working on the Kenobi movie before it got waxed and reduced to a Disney Plus series.
Indeed.
Okay.
Give him. So yeah, that was fun from Gary. But a little bit of a fun post there. So
this next one I was excited to read, and I mean, who knows? I don't even know if Tamara got in trouble for this. Hopefully not. I doubt it. But he was talking with Rotten Tomatoes. I think he's promoting something, but as Nick said earlier, I mean, if you've ever done anything Star Wars, it doesn't matter what you're promoting. You're also going to promote your Star Wars work. It's just plain and simple. Get used to it. So anyways, Rotten Tomatoes was asking him clearly about Book of Boba, what it was like. I think they said they filmed for upwards of 7 months, a lot of fight training, this, that, and the other thing. But here's the juicy stuff. So RT says, I avoid Rotten Tomato asked him, what was it like to return to that character and do that hand-to-hand combat and do things that we hadn't really seen in a Star Wars movie before? Everyone listen up to this. Listen up. All right? This is just more support, more material for my bozo Fett. Okay? So here's what Tamara says. I think that was a blessing for me in a way, in terms of Boba Fett's history. No one's actually seen him do anything besides stand there. Thank you! Thank you, Mr. Morrison. We speak your name. I just want everyone else to... Go ahead, let that seep in. Let me read it for you again. No one's actually seen him do anything besides stand there. And he's not lying. He's not fucking lying. He was Bozo Fett, and if it wasn't for War of the Bounty Hunters, he still would be in that era. Neo Boba Fett, as I proclaimed, is one of my new Star Wars Jesuses. I love him. But here, I'll finish it off. And of course, his claim to fame was catching the man, I guess. You're right. That's the only thing that made Boba Fett somewhat cool, was that he basically had Vader hold his hand to give him Han Solo. I mean, did Boba actually catch Han?
He did.
I don't think so. All right. But other than that, he was a pretty elusive bloke. So this was an opportunity again to work with Robert Rodriguez, who gave it a little bit of an edge. Yes, he did. And I think Robert's ability was to sort of make a good point of making this guy explode. After it, Jon Favreau come up to me and just said, "Congratulations, the fans loved it." So that's the first thing. I had to put that in there, Nick, just because he,
Yeah, no, that was just like your
I had
validation
to.
of all of your feelings.
I had to. It's just like, come on, people. I'm not that crazy. On screen, Boba Fett did nothing in the original trilogy, and the guy that plays him just confirmed it. Thank you. All right, so here's really was the interesting part. As Nick said, the juice of this topic. So RTS, will we see more of that Boba Fett, meaning the hand-to-hand fighting Fett in the new series? Well, we can't say too much, but we're going to see his past and where he's been since the Empire Strikes Back. Now that is what I like to see, because we have said on the show that it would be egregious if they didn't at least address his escape from the Sarlacc. But now what Morrison is telling us, for real, we are going to see content as far back as Empire.
Yep.
And I think that's exciting.
Dude, I mean, from the moment this series was announced, what we talked about
you were the first one. I don't like giving you a lot of credit, but I will give you credit. You were the first one. You're like, Book of Boba Fett. Maybe it's like chapters of his lives, and maybe it will be predominantly him recanting some of his past in the present timeline, and that's what we'll see. So it's looking like your prediction is going to hit here.
Yeah. I mean, it makes the most sense for this character. There's more that there's more about Boba Fett that we don't know than we do know.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah, and to be able to have a series that not only continues the stories that we're building in Mandalorian, but also goes back and gives you essentially the history of this infamous bounty hunter through the eyes of himself is very cool.
It's just, do you think it's interesting that he said that he used Empire, not Jedi?
Yeah, I mean, because post Empire, you're figuring
because we technically did see some of what he did post Empire. I mean, we saw him get buffooned into the Sarlacc pit, right?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit of it, but I assume that he's more talking about, like, taking, like, after he hands over.
Well, okay, well, there you go. That's where I wanted you to get to. So, do you think at this point that they may be using any of the War of the Bounty Hunters run?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's very fortuitous that this run essentially releases.
This shit doesn't happen by accident, people. Okay. Yeah,
it's very curious, and also going into the fact that last week we talked about a rumor that Bosk was going to be in Book of Boba and stuff like this. Like, if Bosk is in Book of Boba and Book of Boba is gonna discuss things that happen post ESB,
yes, then
you could get right
all
into
of them.
That
I mean, at this point, all of them that were on the Star Destroyer's bridge are completely fair game. And we don't have to talk about, aging them or what would they. I mean, if Tamara's saying that we are going to see Boba Fett content post Empire, they're all on the table. And that's why I was just thinking, like, okay, now that we know that, will they do any of the War of the Bounty Hunter thread, or are they leaving that all for the comic? I don't think they're going to showcase anything that's been in the comic if they do, but they'll probably make references to it. One, in my mind, and I hope it comes true, and maybe one of you will remember this if it does, like our boy Figure Fucking Hurts, who remembered that I predicted that Boba Fett would take over the palace and Bib Fortuna would be there. I actually did this, people, at the end of episode 1, Mando season 2. Get some. But I wonder if in Book of Boba Fett he ends up with like Forlom's head. Because remember, I just told you last week, he threw the head over a bridge walking into Jabba's palace. So that would be like, I'm thinking if they do address War of the Bounty Hunters content in Book of Boba, it would be shit like that. Like little like follow-ups to some of the events that took place in the comic run. But who knows? I'm glad that we finally got something. It's still so broad. I mean, it could still cover whatever, but we know for a fact that you're going to get some gray suit, slimmed down. Well, I don't know. He'll probably still have a little bit of his belly. Boba Fett in the Book of Boba Fett. It's not just all going to be Neo. Yeah, no, for sure. And this, like you said, you can bring up the bounty hunters from ESB. You could, like, a lot of people want to see live action Dirge. If there's a place to do it, like, that is the perfect time to do it. Is like you can bring Dirge into that. Like, there's a lot of opportunity to bring in characters from the OT that were slightly touched on, but not really expounded upon. I mean, you could bring back fucking Jabba. Like, Jabba can be in this. Of course. And I'm not. I guess I'm still not thinking that these will be predominantly set in the past, like the whole episode. I do think it is going to be more like Nick, or it's going to be like something reminds him of something, and then we'll get a little bit of a montage. But I do think these OT era scenes in Book of Boba are going to specifically be shown to depict his badassness, to break that feeling that he just stood around, like Tamara said. So it could be just like quick hits of him fucking shit up, which I'm excited for, because it seems they made a point to continue Boba Fett's hand-to-hand ass kicking. Because that's, I mean, for someone like me who thought he was a jerk off, that's what finally was like, holy shit, this guy definitely can handle himself. Yeah. And now I understand.
He literally just annihilated remnant stormtroopers with a gaffy stick. You're like, okay, maybe he's cooler.
And, you got Din there sitting there eating blaster bolts trying to protect Fennec. Homeboy, after all these years of not having his pack, throws it on just like riding a bike. Before he even lands, he's dropping thermal detonators on people. Then he lands and he's fucking pistol shooting, like doing trick shots and spinning his gun around like a Mac Daddy.
Yeah, man. Like Robert Rodriguez, honestly, he was the perfect person for that episode. Like, I just remember in the documentary, the gallery for season 2, when Robert Rodriguez was like, you only gave me a 14-page script, and then Jon Favreau was like, yeah, everything else that's missing is just all the shit that you do. Like,
just the fight stuff.
Yeah, you just fill in all the cool shit. So, I'm excited.
I'm pretty jacked for Book of Boba. I would prefer to continue right into the Mando, but as we discussed, and I shared this with you and in our Discord. I forget what site it was, but they just put up an article like, oh, we've got the scoop on the Disney Plus show timelines. Book of Boba is actually not Mandalorian season 3. Think of it as Mando 2.5, and
that's
Mando season 3 will probably air in fall 2022. I'm like,
Did you just listen to our podcast and write down
literally just said that?
Said word for word.
We just said that last week, and then because it's in a fairly known geek website, it's making its rounds across the Star Wars newsverse like it's something revolutionary or mind-opening. It's like, wow, really? Really? Even though Jon Favreau laid the fucking schedule down in December, that shit's still news to people? But I think Book of Boba is going to be... It's going to give us that kind of the Boba Fett porn, while also slowly and very gingerly moving along the present Mando timeline, and maybe maybe Din's definitely going to be folded into it, but maybe an event or two will happen in Book of Boba that will either carry out into season 3 or at least be called back to in season 3 of the Mando. So I'm definitely super excited for Book of Boba, especially now that we know it's guaranteed we are going to get some of his past.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tamara, for breaking NDA.
Yeah, for verifying basically everything we said.
So. Sticking with Disney Plus shows, like I said, a lot of meaty stuff this week. Hey there, Liam, how's it going? Young Liam has joined the live stream.
There we go.
Some crazy leaks from Kenobi this week, and we use SW Props, even though he just straight Bogart. Like our boy Props didn't take these shots, but he's like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna throw my watermark right in the middle of them."
Yeah, he's like, "This is my shit."
But someone caught the Kenobi himself, Ewan McGregor, and a few other people literally walking out of their trailers this weekend. This is the most clear look we've gotten at Ewan as Kenobi in Kenobi. Yeah. Even though he's essentially wearing it's either a hairdresser smock or a graduation gown.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that's being intentionally worn to mask his costume for sure. But you can see down towards the bottom, like in the second picture, like he's wearing like kind of like, I don't know,
leg wraps,
dark, like brownish pants and those shoes.
Yeah, he's got like the Tatooine leg wraps like Luke did.
Yeah.
Where it wraps down over the boot. And Nick, I would argue that the outer tunic, not like the loose stuff, but the outer tunic seems a little darker than the creamy one we saw him in Revenge of the Sith. And Ewan did say, "Yeah, I've got the robes. Well, maybe they're a little different," type of deal.
Yeah.
But it does seem like he may have updated his tunic. He's definitely not wearing his janky looking brown robe from A New Hope, because back then George didn't quite have enough money to make nice costumes.
Yeah,
if you look at Kenobi's robe, especially at the beginning, I mean, it's like a clan robe. I mean,
that thing is
he's got a straight point too. Like the hood is just like a fucking straight point. But yeah, you got some cool shots of Kenobi. I mean, there's really not much you can say, but he's wearing it in film and scenes. This one I have right now on the stream, you can clearly see that his outer tunic is a much darker brown than the creamy one he used when he murdered his friend, or seemingly murdered his friend.
Yeah, almost.
But here's the one I want to get to. I mean, there's a stormtrooper, big deal. Some random dude, looks like a Tatooine guy, a ginger-looking dude. But this one right here, the Imperial, that's her, isn't it?
That is Indira Varma,
right.
100%.
And that's we pegged her as either, like an informant on Tatooine because she has that exotic look, or an Imperial officer. Yeah, and it looks like she's definitely the latter, an Imperial officer.
Yeah, Imperial officer is definitely what she is, unless this is like some sort of disguise.
That you could definitely be you could definitely be on to something there. I mean, there is potential for that. Although I think Tone shared some of our Discord, but there were other shots of Imperials on this day as well. One kind of looked like Tarkin. We just couldn't figure out on the ranking badges, but they fuck those up all the time anyways in canon.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm pretty sure that's her. I mean, it fits her profile. She's not quite as concerned as Ewan was about covering up. She's like, I'll wear your graduation gowns, you fuckers, you weirdos, but I'm just...
Yeah, she's like, I gotta wear the fucking hat. What are you gonna do about my head?
Right, she's like I'm just walking the set.
Fucking cover up my face? Like...
She's on her phone, probably tweeting something out, drinking expensive bottled water, glass bottled water.
I will say that's a dope-looking Porsche behind her, too.
Yeah, right.
It's a pretty nice car.
There's definitely some action going on this weekend at the Kenobi set, probably the volume, since it seemed like they're all walking out of trailers over to something and staying covered up.
Yeah.
But there you go. We at least know who, what the hell's her name?
Indira
Varma's playing the Game of Thrones actress, a very beautiful lady, but she went the Imperial route. Or, like Nick said, this could be trickery. Maybe she is doing some sort of secret mission for a rebel cell or Kenobi himself, but I'm thinking she's full-on Empire.
Yeah, I think so, too. I mean, it's always cool to see. I mean, just because of how the original trilogy and even the prequel trilogy played out, like there were never really any bad girls.
No, not at all.
Women.
They've like, gotten it in the animation with Price, and then in the comics with what's her name? She's in the current run fighting Leia's fleet. Either way, but yeah, you're right.
I remember,
you're right.
Talking about her. But yeah, like sliding in some female baddies is always cool to see. So I'm glad that we got this shot here, basically confirming that she's going to be an Imperial. So I thought that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, not too much to draw from the shots, other than like you pointed out, Matt.
Tone said the ginger guy is Ewan's stunt double, so I guess you get an even better look at Ewan's. Yeah, okay. That makes sense then.
Yeah, I mean his hair is.
Yeah, so I mean he clearly at least changed his pants, wrapped his boots, and upgraded his tunic.
Yeah, I think Tone said that the look kind of looks like the Mythos Obi from Sideshow as well.
I have that though, and he still has a lot of the cream colored robes, I'm sorry, tunics. It's not that darker brown. I mean, I guess I'd have to go bust it out and look at it again, but I believe it was much closer to that cream colored tunic he was wearing at the end of Rots. But no, thank you, Tones. That clears it up, and then you get a much better shot. So he went. I mean, you could argue he was almost honoring his fallen former Padawan a bit. I mean, it's not that dark brown, but it's much darker tones than prequel era Kenobi used to sport.
For sure.
He's reflecting upon. When does he put his old man robe on then? Like his old man tunic.
Does he just like have that sitting somewhere? Like is that just like hanging out?
I still contend that like he develops a hardcore spice addiction, and that's why he goes looking, like a 50-year-old man to an 80-year-old man in what, 8 years?
Yeah, I mean, like pretty fast. That's a pretty quick turnaround. This is what I look like.
He's wearing like floor-length muumuu tunics at that point in time.
Yeah, I thought they would have grayed him up a little bit more.
No,
like I don't know, like maybe they'll add like the touch of gray.
No, they're like, we don't fucking care. Just get over it. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he turns into a really old guy in 8 years.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, the sun does a lot of bad shit to you.
Holy shit!
Just don't sit out in the sun.
But I don't know. I always kind of feel. I'm never gonna feel bad for an actor, but I do kind of feel bad. Like these guys, they're just trying to fucking work, and you got a bunch of shitheads out there like Nick and I would be like, oh look, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's like, I'm a fucking real person, you cock-sucking cockroaches. Like, go get a life. But there you go, masked up and everything.
Cool stuff. Kenobi series actively in production. We will get that in 2022. So stay attuned to the Star Wars.
Yeah, I bet they wrap filming probably end of August, September at the end of September at the latest.
Probably so, because then you still need to go through post, you need to do VFX. A lot of work needs to go in after you.
This show has potential to be the spring release of 2022, kind of like Bad Batch was.
Yeah,
because I really do think Mando is going to stick in its fall slot, and Book of Boba will also be in that fall slot.
I think so too.
All right.
Last
one
piece
more
of news before the toy
that's
stuff.
Right. One more before the toy stuff, and this is a rumor from the Illuminati. So, like I said, break out those grains of salt.
Yep.
But according to one of their sources, who says the Ahsoka series, now this is the live action one that we know is happening with Rosario. According to our sources, Star Wars Ahsoka is looking to cast Barriss Offee. She is listed as a lead character in her 20 to 30, and they're looking to cast an Asian woman for the role. So here's where I think they might have their streams a little mixed up. Now, while having Barriss and Ahsoka makes a ton of sense, just like having some of the old bounty hunters in Boba or some of the Rogue One characters in Andor, the whole 20 to 30 thing doesn't quite line up because...
Yeah, she would need to be older.
Barriss, I believe, was already older than Ahsoka. And Ahsoka, for the most part, I think is taking place during the Mandalorian timeline. So Barriss would not be in her mid to late 20s at that point in time.
Yeah, unless you're working again in like flashbacks,
right, of course,
or, like, memories,
of course, and that could be a good one. Maybe they have a memory, or she's reminded of her past and fallen Jedi, and she remembers the Barriss ordeal, and they finally put it to bed and either show that Ahsoka did ultimately snuff her out, or she just got killed hunting other Jedi. But do you think this casting information could be for Sabine? I mean, it lines up more for Sabine age-wise and race-wise than it does for Barriss.
Yeah, Asian 20 to 30. I mean, the 30 end of it is definitely more Sabine. Sabine also fits better with the assumption that the Ahsoka series is going to be in some way
searching for Thrawn Ezra.
Searching for Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, I think the age lines up perfectly, because I believe Sabine would have been a couple years older than Ezra by the end of Rebels, which would have put her at like
21.
In her very early 20s. And then, from there to the Mando timeline, it's not a huge jump.
Yeah, you're not going very far. I think it was 7 to 10 years was the gap.
We know Mando is at least 6 past Jedi.
Return of the Jedi,
and I think from A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, it might have spanned a total of 4 or 5 years.
I think it was very short.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that would put Sabine like in like 32, like somewhere around there. I mean, you could cast an Asian woman for Barriss.
Oh, of course.
I mean,
I'm not even really. I was more concerned about the age.
Yeah, the age of it is the hard part, because you would figure that Barriss is probably in her late teens at the end of Clone Wars, and then you got 20. I mean, but here's the thing: is like Barriss is an alien, and you get into that thing where she's not gonna age like a human is. So maybe a 20 to 30-year-old would work, because she wouldn't look like she ages differently.
No, I'm not like sitting here trying to, whip my other Star Wars site or podcast hating dick out right now. I was just, it's really the age thing, but you bring up a good point about aliens and how they don't age like humanoids. It makes perfect sense.
She's a Marillion. That's her race,
right?
And I mean, like it's hard to find like average lifespans of these different aliens races in Star Wars online.
I mean, we've essentially took it to the bank that Sabine is in it regardless, right?
Yeah. Even if this particular casting information isn't for her, she's almost definitely
has to be.
But this
has to be.
Yeah, but this does line up with what you would look for a Sabine character.
But I mean, I like I said, I think Barriss in a series about Ahsoka, tons of potential.
It would make sense.
It's an open plot thread. I mean, you got to remember this happened right when shit got fucky with Star Wars, and is he going to sell it? What should we do with all these? I mean, they essentially had a half a season or more in the bank. And Disney's like, go fuck yourself. And they eventually released the Lost Missions, but they don't address what happened with Barriss. For those of you that don't know, essentially Barriss breaks bad. She gets into that mindset that, the Jedi are evil. They're the ones that fucked all this shit up. She ends up blaming a bombing of the temple on Ahsoka. And Ahsoka, no one believes her. And this is what leads to Ahsoka essentially leaving the Jedi Order. All the masters treat her like shit. Even Anakin, he's not treating her like shit, but he still can't fully buy her story. And by the end of it, after all the old guys are like, oh yeah, you were right all along. Sorry. She goes, you know what? Fuck you guys. And walks
and that's
out.
When she leaves.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Ahsoka series, definitely both of these. I would think that like it would be weird if they had the Barriss arc as an active piece at that time, because you would figure like one of Ahsoka's first things that she would probably want to wrap up, like after she's like, got a little bit of downtime. I know she's actively working for the rebellion, but she's like, hey, look, there's essentially a Sith out there in Barriss Offee that not only fucked me over, but fucked over all the Jedi. Like, we need to go find her and sort her out.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I figured it would probably be like either a memory or a flashback or something like that.
There's plot potential all over it, and they from what we know, the KKs of the world, the Favreaus of the world, the Filonis of the world, they pretty much said that all those shows they announced are sharing a timeline.
Yeah.
So you would think most of the content would be set during that timeline. So Nick is right. It's like, do you just crowbar this character in? You could. I mean, they dropped the Thrawn, so we can't, super fans can't anymore be like, oh, they would never just do that in a live action because of all the casual fans will have no idea. Clearly, the writers don't give a fuck. The writers are
like,
going to...
If you don't know who it is, look it up.
Well, it's kind of brilliant, actually, because if it does resonate with people, and they're people like you and me, they're going to go back and consume that content now. So it's like it's like you're throwing bait out to somewhat fresh Star Wars fans and going, hey, if you like this, by the way, she's got a backstory on our platform. Keep paying money for it so you can watch that shit too. So I'm never going to take the stance like, oh, they would never jam an animated, a somewhat small animated character into a live act. I mean, fuck that. They clearly don't give a shit. I would love to see this Barriss play out in Ahsoka because it is kind of a hanging thread. But if it doesn't, it's not going to affect her story or what we're going to see play out with her story, Thrawn, hopefully Sabine, and hopefully our man Ezra B. Yeah,
agree. So, cool idea. I mean, it could come to fruition, but I am kind of leaning a little bit more towards your thoughts here that this could be a casting for Sabine. Ahsoka series, still no timeline on that, right? We're assuming like 2023.
Yeah, there's really been nothing. I mean, this is another one you could argue like people are trying to do for Rangers of the Republic that it's not currently in active development. So, they canceled it because of cancel culture and blah. They're getting Gina back, and so they got to delay all these shows. That's why it's canceled. They listen to the fans, and they realize they can't move on with The Mandalorian without Gina, so it's canceled. Fuck off. All right. It's toy time, my friends, and oh my goodness, did we get a lot this week. A lot, and I am starting to become weak again, Nick. I made a pledge in 2021 to not go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Hasbro Black Series reveals and feel the need to pre-order them the moment they're announced. But I failed on this first one right here. So those that collect the Black Series line from Hasbro, there's kind of been a running thread in the community with the Rogue One series that Bodhi Rook never got a figure. Baze got a figure, Chariot got a figure, Jin, K2, Cassian, Krennic, Death Troopers, Shore Troopers, Storm Troopers. But for some reason, a guy that you could argue was one of the main reasons they're able to pull off the fucking mission in the first place. Yep. I mean, he's the one that gives them the Galen information, and he's the one that sacrifices himself to allow them to communicate to the Rebel fleet. I mean,
he came up with the name Rogue One.
There you go.
He literally said Rogue One.
Thank you.
Taking off.
Well, he never got a figure, Nick, when Rogue One was released. That's one of the main motherfucking people on the ship, as you said, named it. Rogue One, never had a figure. But now he does.
Crazy.
Now he does. They were shown off. We got some other new Rogue One figures as well. There's a Galen Erso now. There's the that pilot guy. What's his name? Antok Merrick. Yeah. Unfortunately, those were Target exclusives, but I was able to secure them. I'm not sure why I want these. I really don't. Like, why do I want Galen Erso? Why do I want Anton Merrick? Why do I want Bodhi? It's that completion OCD, right? Like, the wave's got to be complete. The wave's got to be... It's a sickness, but we know I'm fucked up in the head with this type of stuff. So here's where I really failed myself, because at least those three, they're new figures, Nick, right? I can't feel too bad about buying new. This is where I go off the fucking rails.
Uh-oh.
They also unveiled reissues of all of the previously released Rogue One figures, and now they have the old photo real face. So this idiot's sitting here hemming and hawing, go, oh, I already have them, but damn, look, Cassian actually looks like a person now and not someone that huffed glue their whole life. It's like, wow, look at the details in the face. Damn it, that actually looks like Diego finally. Yeah, I'm going to get him. And I'm like, K2, I can pass on him. I don't need another K2. A bot's a bot. Bots usually look good. Oh, here's Chirrut. Let me look. Chirrut looked good the first time, but let me look. And I'm like, fuck. They did it on this one too. I mean, they improved the face enough that I'm like, yep, I'll buy it again. So got that guy's, the Force is with him and the Force is with me. And Baze, sure enough, I look through him like, he didn't look that bad either, but I'm going, well, if you got Chirrut and you got Cassian, you might as well rebuy Baze, you stupid asshole. So
you have to. At that point, you have to. It's not even like it's not even a question.
Added him to a cart like a douchebag. And that kind of continued. So I rebought fucking Jin, Cassian, Baze, Chirrut, and then added Antok, Bodhi, and Galen.
Whoa,
and I'm just,
that's a big Black Series haul.
Even when I'm talking about now, it's giving me heartburn.
For somebody who doesn't take pictures anymore.
So you got that. So thank you for reminding me of that and making me feel worse about myself. So you've got that factor. You also have the factor that I buy Hot Toys figures now like they're Black Series figures, right?
It's true.
I mean, we're going to be talking about one right now that I'll be pre-ordering tonight or tomorrow. That's a must-have. But it's like, what are you doing, man? I mean, you just spent $120 on figures that you mostly already have, and when they show up, you'll look at them and go, fuck, why did I buy these? Because I don't feel like taking pictures of them, and they'll just lay on your desk, more money wasted, go outside and sit on a pole. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? I may go cancel those fucking orders right now. I think I've almost talked myself out of the rebuys.
Did you? Okay. Did you really talk yourself out of it, though? Oof. I don't know, man.
Jin and Cassian I might have to keep because they really looked awful. But the Baze and Chirrut, I think you can argue, are passable from the original line.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So
I think you have a good reason to like why you could cut out.
All right.
Those.
Yeah, I'm gonna think on it a bit more, Nick, and I probably will do that because the more I think, I was like, dude, you're about to go drop $250 on another fucking Hot Toys. Like, why not recoup some of that wasted money on rebuys?
Here, Matt, I just dropped you a link in Amazon for something you also might want to spend money on.
Look at Klondike. Klondike, he's the guy that holds the rubber band for heroin addicts. He's like, don't cancel them. He'd be the guy like, yeah, man, let me heat up your spoon for you.
But don't worry, you don't. Just one more hit.
Yeah, go ahead. This will be the last time. Last time. Those train tracks will be gone before you know it. You can do it. Don't cancel.
Yeah,
get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, Matt, I just gave you a link to right now. Amazon has a sale going on, $59.99 for the Lord of the Rings 4K extended and theatrical edition. So you get the 4K physical and you get digital codes.
Oh my God, you guys are all dickheads. All you guys want me to do is waste my money rebuying shit that I've already bought 5,000 times. Hey, and look, you know what? I'm half tempted because you know what I did when I think iTunes or one of them was having a sale of the, just the standard, the movie versions, the cinematic versions of LOTR in 4K. I'm like, I already own them, but it says 4K now, so yeah, I'll buy them again. So I did that, but now you're, hold on.
Yeah, now I didn't do that because I only have the Blu-ray big release. And now I saw this, I was like, what? I get the extended and the theatrical. I get 4K for all of them, and I get digital codes. I'll do it. I'll do it. You got
Damn it. And you sent me that fucking link?
Yep.
Yeah, see, you're worse than Joe. You're the guy dropping off the fucking bag of crack. It's like, come on.
Hey, man, I just dropped a link. You don't have to open the link. You don't have to look at the link.
All right.
You don't have to do anything with the link.
That's very tempting. And then I see the interns in here, and all I see out of the corner of my eye is AMC and Rich. I'm like, oh shit, did it finally pop? So I'm looking at my phone and looking at my stock tracker. And while AMC did hit a new record, I think today, it still has not hit the magic the magic number that we're holding out for. So see these hands? If I had color on and more light shining on them, these motherfuckers would be brilliant because they're diamond. You see it? Diamond hands. Apes together strong. That's what we have to keep telling ourselves until they screw us and I wake up one day and it's worth $9 a share, right? But anyways, back to there were more Black Series reveals than just shit that I already bought and then rebought again because I'm a douche. I like this roadmap. Hopefully you can see it on the live stream. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit. This roadmap is something beautiful here. But coming down the pipeline, or like they call it the pipeline, we're going to get a Jedha Patrol Stormtrooper, and these are all Black Series, so the 6-inch versions. Bib Fortuna.
Nice.
And it looks like Skinny Bib, so I don't know if it's going to be Fat Bib, but they at least put a picture of Skinny Bib. Mayfeld, and it looks like he's in his Transport Trooper armor.
Yeah.
Fennec, which is long overdue. I don't quite agree with the name, but I'll take it. Nomad Boba Fett.
Neo Boba.
Exactly. Okay. We all know that. We all know the proper name. And then Cobb Vanth. So, I mean, the customization community has already knocked Nomad and Cobb out of the park. Like, I've seen just some brilliant customizations, custom figures that they've made for those two figures. But Hasbro has revealed now that down the road they are planning all these figures to be officially released in the Black Series line. You vintage collection people, you got 4 new figs coming. We got Mithril from Mando, Kawil from Mando, Bo from Mando, and a random Hoth soldier from Empire.
That 3 3/4-inch bow looks really good.
Dude, this is another thing that's like, why did I know I went to the 6-inch line because they looked better than the 3-inch and they photographed better, but these days, TVC is right up there with the Black Series.
Just ask Kingdom of Weird.
Yeah, if not better, because they're smaller, and usually the smaller things are sometimes you don't need as much detail to make them look as good. Yeah, you're not wrong. That TVC is looking pretty right. They also announced the whatever vintage collection winner. It's some Republic trooper from Old Republic. The HasLab update. So they showed off the Razor Crest that all of us bought, and then they blew the fucking thing up on the show. So. I don't know how exciting that's going to be when it shows up, but
yeah, you're going to get it and you'd be like, great, this doesn't exist anymore.
It was funny. They essentially released videos, Nick, of a guy professionally doing toy photography.
Really?
Like, it's literally
who
just,
was it? Did anybody know?
I don't even know. It's no one I recognize, but it's like a dude setting up scenes and then showing the final picture. And hopefully it's no one in the community, but quite frankly, I see much better work from the Instagram toy photography community than what Hasbro was showing off with its videos.
Yeah.
This is probably why Hasbro never wants to do anything with our account or our show, but I speak the truth here. You know, if Manscaped sucked, I would have told you, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Nope.
So yeah, but the last big reveal here, well, 2 more things. We've got more Black Series reveals coming before this month ends, so June. And the next HasLab project, so that's the Razor Crest, the Katana, Jabba sail barge. The next one is coming, the reveal is coming later this summer, and their big hubbub around it is it's not a vehicle.
Not a vehicle.
And pretty much the entire community has guessed it's going to be the Rancor. So...
Rancor?
Yeah, okay. That's kind of what everyone's going for. I know Blainer things, he had like some evidence that, yeah, this is definitely where they're headed. But the next HasLab, according to Hasbro, is not going to be a vehicle, which, you go, okay, well then what the fuck could it actually be? Is it a play set? Jesus Christ, the Death Star? Could you imagine? Even at that scale, I bet the Death Star would be like as big as someone's fucking house.
I would say it would be as big as somebody's house.
That would be
you
amazing.
Just roll up and you're like, yeah, man, I got the Death Star in my backyard.
Yeah, it's like,
and he's like, oh, like a small one. It's like, no, we can go.
No, it's 1/18 scale. It's legit, and like you could literally see it cresting over your roof. That's how fucking big it would be. It would have to be. Like, who's smart? Is anyone smart in our chat? How big would a 1/18 scale Death Star be?
Yeah, I mean, it's bigger than a moon. So, like, you would, like, what's 1/18 scale of our moon?
Dude, it would have to, like, be the size of my neighborhood, because if I take one of those figures, you would think, like, a person standing next to the Death Star would be microscopic, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just not even, you couldn't even see them. Like,
I like your idea, Nick. It's like, next HasLab, the first bonus tier is $2.5 million for a 1/18 scale Death Star.
1/1000 scale Death Star.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
And it's still huge.
I love it. That's why it's fun to talk collectibles with a non-collector, because they come up with goofy shit like that. So. Yeah. Some fun reveals, but I definitely fell for the old reissue trap. I know there's others out you that are probably feeling the same way. I may indeed, after this little chat I have with my buddy here, go and cancel some of the reissues, because he's right. It's like it's a FOMO thing. Like, it's a FOMO OCD I have, where I want to have the full wave, and I want them all to have their better looking non-derp faces. But in the end, it's really not going to give me a lot of happiness when they show up and I go, well, fuck, now I feel obligated to take a picture. Now they're just going to be added to the toy photography figure graveyard. It's just more stress. So what am I doing to myself? Stick to the Barbies, you asshole. All right. That's got to be my mantra, man. I can't get sucked up in like the new stuff I can see. Like, and I've skipped a lot of the Black Series shit they revealed. Like, these gaming greats things, we'll be talking about one coming up. I've skipped a lot of those, but yeah, it's just that is Rogue One. It's Star Wars proper. They look better. I know they're going to take better pictures, even though I don't take pictures. So I pulled the trigger, but now I'm kind of feeling buyer's remorse. Okay. So here's the new Barbie I was talking about, and I will buy, because Sideshow, they're so gracious, Nick, after spending upwards of $6,000 in pre-orders over the past year or so. They sent me a $25 off coupon for my next Star Wars purchase.
$25 whole
$25 off, pal.
$25. How gracious of them. I
think that's enough to even cover a part of shipping.
Yeah, I know, right? So, you can almost cover shipping.
But you know what? It's like, okay, I'll go buy more if you want me to. I mean, when that shows up, I'm still like, oh, okay, yeah. Now you reminded me I still need to pre-order the Ahsoka, the bow, this one, that one. So I think it was a week or two ago, another one of my infamous $1,000 pre-order sprees on Sideshow, catching up on some of the new releases. But the one we're talking about now, my friend, is Hunter from the Bad Batch, a.k.a. the Rambo clone. And he looks great. I mean, he looks just as good as Echo. Echo we saw a few weeks back. He has been pre-ordered. But I don't know, man. I'm loving the Bad Batch. Like that, plain and simple. I love it. I love the characters. I love the little family feel they got going on. I think Filoni and his team has done a great job of kind of endearing these characters to us so quickly. And when that happens in Star Wars, that's where the little kid in me, the fanboy in me, wants to honor my emotional attachment to these fucking sci-fi properties by giving the creators more money, right? So I'm all in on these 1/6 scale Bad Batch. I hope we get the whole fucking line, but we're just going through the Hunter shots right now, and he looks great. And it's definitely more of a live action sculpt, just like Echo was, which I don't necessarily matter or care about, because looking at those animated 1/6 scale Obi-Wan and Anakin that we were talking about a few weeks back, they looked kind of scary, like not right, especially the Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I
was gonna say they look a little iffy.
I kind of dig that Hot Toys with Bad Batch is at least saying, you know what, fuck it. We've already paid, Mr. Morrison all this money for his likeness, or probably Lucasfilm, because I imagine when Tamara signed off on his deal for Attack of the Clones, he signed over his likeness for his life.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever watched the Carrie Fisher, like, it's like semi-comedy special, one late.
Yeah, it's like a one-woman show. It's excellent. I know exactly. I don't know if she did more than one, but I have watched at least one where it's like she just comes out on a set and she's essentially sitting on a couch. Every once in a while, she might change like a shawl or something, but she just shoots the shit.
Yeah. like in that show, she literally says like, I don't own my own imaging rights.
Right. Yeah.
Like Lucasfilm owns. Like, he's like George. She's like George Lucas owns my like the rights to sell me as a figure.
Right.
She's like, one day I went to a store and I saw that I was a shampoo bottle that you could screw my head off and pour shampoo out of my head. Like,
yeah, I remember that bit. It's a good one.
Yeah, like more than likely, Tamira's fucking rights have long been signed away.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But you know, like Sideshow and all these people are like, hey, you know, we've already got the sculpt here. We've been using Tamira's face for Django, Cody, Rex. Might as well use for the Bad Batch too. Why not? We'll kind of make them look a little more like Tamira. Because I mean, you got to argue in the animated version of the Bad Batch, due to their genetic modifications, they are the most unique looking clones. I mean, Hunter, his face is a little stretched versus what a standard Django clone would look like. Wrecker clearly.
I mean, fucking Wrecker's whole face.
I mean, he must have got hit with a bomb or something at one point because he's got that scar and cloudy eye. You know, Tech essentially looks like a skinnier version of me. He's got that really bad receding hairline, the glasses, the dork. And, you know, Crosshair looked like a murderer, right? I mean, he looked like someone that takes joy in killing things. And Echo, remember, he wasn't a Bad Batcher, so his modifications were done by the Techno Union, but he still has maintained that Reg clone look. But in the Hot Toys, they're definitely just going with standard Tamara Morrison, and that's A-OK. Because Hunter looks great, and he's already up for pre-order, I believe, for $250, so a little cheaper than Echo. And you can grab them over at Sideshow. This is a payment plan one, my friends, because it's not coming out until this time or later next year, summer of 2022.
Cool. Yeah, man. I mean, Sideshow stuff always looks incredible. You know,
it does, and it's I'm one day maybe
it's hard not to buy these. I feel like for collectors, right?
Once you start, it's impossible. I think anyone can attest to that. I mean, I'm looking at my shelves, and some of my pre-orders from Mando season 1 are finally coming in, and it's like, all right, all you little 112 cocksuckers, you're either just going to be laying in a box, bending each other's accessories over and looking like shit, because I need to make room for my Barbies. They're the ones that need to be in the dotted shelves with the lights on them and the glass, because they are. To me, they're little fucking works of art. They're little sculptures, and there are times when I just turn around and look at them. It makes me smile. And that's, you know what? That's why we live, right? That's why we spend fucking money.
Joy, if you can get joy out of even the littlest things, bingo bango,
I
man.
do. It's like if I could just break the feeling like if I buy something, I have to shoot it for my stupid Instagram that I don't use anymore, it would be even better. Like I'd actually get excited for toys because I love when they show up. I love taking them out and looking at them and smelling them and bending the shit and dressing them up. Yes, I'm almost 41. I don't give a shit. Makes me happy. I like playing with toys, damn it. But no, I mean, there are times, even like, you know, my daughter it's a conversation starter. Like she'll talk like, oh, I remember that. And then we'll get into that stuff. So that's why I buy them, for the feels, people. It's for the feels. Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. But I'll be using my $25 off on Hunter here the next time I remember to do it.
There we go.
Okay.
What kind of feels did you get from these next ones here, Matt?
Well, not good ones. Well, the one that everyone's speculating on, and I just pulled Yak Face's post because I mean he's one of the prominent voices in the Star Wars collecting community. Always seems to have leads and links when people need it. So just giving him a little plug, even though I'm sure they don't even know we exist. But that's the story of the SWTS, where we just tell people we're stealth, even though we know no one likes us. All right?
Nobody knows that we exist until they know that we exist.
There you go.
There we go.
So,
I mean, we have 10,000 plus followers now. That's pretty decent.
I'm not this into, I don't know. I mean, I am a hardcore collector just based on the amount of money I spend, but I'm not into like studying box art to predict when or what other figures may release in a wave. I'm not saying.
Yeah, I was scrolling through this and I was like, "What? Why is it zoomed in super close on one part?"
Well, again, you're a normal person, so let me explain it to you here. So, you know, we talked about these new boxes, right? And if you're on the live stream, you can see it. If not, make sure to go to StarWarsTime.net and check out our Rex and Poncho Black Series posts for visuals. But on the boxes, a wave, let's say the Bad Batch wave, is going to feature a mural on the box sides, and when you put it together, it should form a full picture. Yep. And the moment Wrecker's box was released, those that are really into sleuthing this shit out, like the Yak Faces, again, I'm not making fun of these people. I mean, look at the shit I do every week for Star Wars that is not important to my life or my family's life at all. I get it. We all have passions for shit. But people have been looking at this box ever since it was released going, who the fuck is that character next to Wrecker with like a sleeve over clone armor, right?
Yeah, I see it.
So
now.
all along, they're like, who the fuck is it? Who the fuck is it? Who the fuck is it? Gee, I'm getting my quota of F words in right now.
Yeah, it's fitting them all in one shot.
Woo! Explicit lyrics. So now that we have a little bit of hindsight thanks to Bad Batch S1E7 battle scars, most people now are drawing the conclusion, because if you really look at it, Nick, it's a very clear sleeve thing, and then you can see clone armor, right?
Yeah.
So people at this point are pretty much running with the idea that this is going to be a new Rex in Poncho Black Series figure. It
makes sense. I mean, there's literally nobody else that we've ever seen wear a poncho over clone armor before other than Rex.
Right.
And it is pretty fucking clear from this box that that's what we're seeing here. So it like, given that logic and given how these new boxes are set up, yeah, I think that. Well,
it's just, I mean, Hasbro, they know collectors. I mean, look what they did with Rogue One. They're like, haha, we already did these, but we're going to put them in a new mural box and make their faces slightly better. And oh, by the way, now we're charging $22.99 for Black Series figure instead of $19.99. We'll get all these assholes to rebuy them. Don't worry about it. They're like,
dude, did you like? Just look at what they did now. Like, they turned the box into speculation pieces.
Right.
Like, everybody was like, I remember that there was a pretty, like, we contributed to an article about people literally being upset at these boxes.
Right.
And now they're using these boxes to tease other figures.
Bro, there's people selling shit for the boxes. I think it's Lance Speeder Luke created a 3D printable stand to where you can stack the boxes in them and it lines up the mural perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the boxes, as controversial as they may have been, I think the community loves them now because you do get these speculation opportunities, and there are people out there that still think that keeping boxes makes your figures cooler. I don't get it. I'm not going to shit on you. I used to say boxes myself, and I still have a whole fucking cubby space full of prequel era toys in packages, sometimes triples of the same Phantom Menace figure. So I get the box thing, but these days it ain't worth keeping. It takes up space. Who gives a shit? Throw it in the recycling. But yeah, I think Rex and Poncho is a done deal. It'll essentially be another re-release. They'll either slap on a shitty rubber poncho or use that god-awful fabric that they use for the Jedi robes and re-release Rex as Poncho Rex in the Bad Batch. And here's the one everyone kind of puked in their mouths a little bit when they saw it.
This thing looks so fucking bad.
It's just odd. And we got this reveal yesterday. It was so dumb. I just, reshared the post from Hasbro's IG. Which, by the way, it looks like Hasbro's IG is being run by an intern, because all they did was upload a picture and like use Instagram's text to type over it and like, hey, this is our new reveal today. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
But anyways, the next Gaming Great. So, those familiar with it, the Gaming Great line, you can get at GameStop in the States, EB up in Canada, other places across the world. And it features Star Wars Black Series figures based on Star Wars video games. So the latest one that we're looking at here on the live stream, if you're on, is Zalbar. And a lot of you are probably going, who bar?
Yeah,
is that like Chewbacca in some sort of sex singlet? No, this is a kind of I guess it is a playable character. It can be a party character, right? From Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah, Zalbar and Mission Viejo.
Mission Viejo.
Were they're kind of buddies in the KOTOR game, and so
Mission Viejo.
I guess.
Yeah. Whatever.
I guess.
Anyway,
Hasbro's like, let's release this guy instead of hell. Even Mission would have been a better figure because she's a Twi'lek scoundrel.
Did they release Canderous yet?
No.
Like, you have a lot of options in SWTOR.
But no, they go with KOTOR. Zalbar, which looks like a somewhat melted Chewbacca figure. And like I said, they put on it looks like a sex singlet. It's something you would wear with people that like to get kinky with sex, like swings and all that shit. And just everyone in the community, that's who Hideous was talking about hours ago at this point. Everyone is like, why? Who? and what the fuck do we need this for? Even in my write-up, I'm like, pretty much anyone born after the year 2000, if you never played KOTOR or SWGO, as CTL's bringing up, you probably have no fucking clue who this guy is.
Yeah, it's really, like, you're not going to find him anywhere else either. It's not like he was a very popular character that made it very far outside of the KOTOR community, and he's not in anything else. So if you've never played KOTOR or SWGO, like specifically KOTOR 1 too, like he's not even in KOTOR 2, like you're not gonna. Yeah,
I mean, where the fuck's Karth? Like Karth Onasi's a better idea than this guy. I mean, I don't want to shit on Zalbar too much because he's somewhat useful in SWGO for like territory war defenses and whatnot, but as an action figure, this is just. I saw the hashtag a lot of people were using. What was it? Was it Be Better Hasbro or Do Better Hasbro?
Either one, honestly, because this literally, like, it almost seems like they didn't even, like, they just took like a shitty Chewbacca body and then just
it's like they found a factory that was printing Chewbaccas and like the mold got fucked up and it shit out like 50,000 goofy looking Chewbaccas, and you're like, hey, you know what, Wookiee, Schmookie, we'll throw this red sexy straps on them and give them a sword and say it's Zalbar, and they're like, all right, win. We'll release it as a gaming great, and there we go.
Being easy. This looks truly awful.
It's an odd character to release. It looks like shit, and I don't know. I mean, the whole gaming greats.
And I'm pretty sure, like, if you actually look at Zalbar, like, I thought that he had like different, like slightly different coloration in his fur. Like, I don't think he was all brown.
Yeah, he's not just a.
Maybe I'm wrong. Like,
I don't know. Don't worry, community. We're with you. It looks like shit. I mean, it's up for pre-order now. I doubt this one sells out unless you've got that OCD. Got to collect them all worse than I do. But I'm done on gaming greats. I've completely given up on the line. I don't think I've ordered a gaming great since that Shadow Trooper thing, like the blue clear guy. I mean, really, they should have stopped gaming greats after Darth Revan. I'll take the light side Revan. I like him too, but that's about it. Like, hey, I know from KOTOR, Zalbar. It's like, what? You have Darth fucking Malak in that game. How interesting of an action figure would that make?
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, like, you have so many cool options.
Bastilla. Like, you could have got another Jedi with a bow staff Jedi. Bastilla, Dark Bastilla.
Yeah. You could have got even like Jolie. Like,
yeah, Jolie Bindo. I mean, what the fuck? Zalbar.
Like, you got a lot of choices in there, and you fucking throw out. Because
I'll be honest, I don't want to sound like a Wookiee hater. I mean, I love my man Chewie. Yeah, right. He's the one that cues the music up for us on every episode of the Star Wars Time show. Yeah. But Chewbacca and really Wookiee figures in general suck. They're not the best of figures to look at. I mean, outside of having an affinity for Chewie and his adventures, they're pretty dumb figures.
It's like you already know just from other figures that hair doesn't translate well to plastic.
No, not at all.
And you just have a character that's all hair.
Yep. Now, my best Chewbacca is the 1/6 scale, like full, like actual real hair. You can comb it if you want to. He looks fantastic. But this is a miss by so many levels, and it's not going to stop because, you know, people keep buying it because there's a lot of assholes out there like myself that just it's like something burning from the bottom of their belly. Like you got to get it. You got to get it. You got to take a picture of it first, or you got to complete the wave. There's been other gaming greats. You got to line up the fucking boxes to see the full picture. Zalbar, I need you. You know, it's that type of deal, but he's out there if you want him. If you get him, you're a bigger sucker than me. I'll leave it at that. All right, buddy, let's go ahead and transition over to this week's fan segment. Let's make sure we get all the proper stuff up there so they don't see our top secret communications. All right. Fan question of the week, because Nick has definitely killed off the battle bracket at this point in time.
I'm just upset with the community at this point. I keep I think about it. Well, first off, I was locked out of our IG until today. So I couldn't even log into the Instagram to do it.
I was like, Nick's putting out posts and nothing shows up on IG. I'm like, what the fuck's this guy doing? I was like,
and then I try to, so I go to share stuff yesterday and I was like, oh, logged out. And then I go to log back in and it's like locked out. And I was like, fucking
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not like trying to be a dickhead, but we used to have a plugin that would share our work to all our social media, and people that deal with WordPress, you understand sometimes plugin developers want to make a buck, so features that used to be free they start to charge for, and apparently this person, they got really dicky. Like, this to me is cheap moves by developers, to where they're like, oh yeah, by the way, if you want to share to Instagram now, you can't use two-factor unless you pay us. It's like, okay, go fuck your mom. We'll just do it manually. It's not like Nick and I are busting out 10 posts a day like we probably should be doing. So it's like, big deal. We'll do them manually. But as Nick said, I turned 2F back on and it's pretty much all routes to me. So he's sitting down there like, bink, 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 wrong, bink, 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 wrong, bink, bink, locked out. You can't get in.
Like, what the fuck, man?
But don't worry, we got him in there. He'll be putting them up again. All right, so anyways, fan question of the week, as we'll do throughout the run of the Bad Batch, we want to hear what people thought about the most recent episode. So we asked the fans, what did you think about the one with the captain? And sure enough, the same people and the low amount of responses came through, like 4 or 5 total, which is about all we want, but it just goes to show we have zero reach or people just don't give a fuck. All right, so up first... I believe this is F-Stop Rebel.
It is.
See, I can like memorize shit from people's logos. That's how much.
If you zoom in real
like,
close,
I think some of you people don't understand how in tuned I am to the IG Star Wars toy community.
No, yeah.
I mean, I can just tell by their fucking logo who they are. But anyways, this is F-Stop Rebel. I think the name's Scott Metzger. Seeing how much Wrecker and Omega mean to each other. I know people don't like happy positive stuff anymore, but I still do. LOL. Isn't that sad? Like, we really live in a society where you have to kind of hedge a response that you think might be too positive.
Unpopular.
Might be too positive for people.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Like, I
man.
am glass half empty. That's how I live my life. I wake up angry, go to bed angry. But I do not, like I said at the start of the show, I don't understand why people get so butthurt over positive stuff. Over grown men taking care of a little girl and forming familial bonds, or moments like that where they had like, no, I'm not leaving his side. Why is that bad? Like, are we that Tommy Tough guy of a society now?
That's what we are, man.
Grr, yeah, oh, I'm a man. No emotions. I'm a robot.
You can't show any emotion.
Well, it's crazy. It's like I said, we shared someone's pride post and they're about ready to come burn us down again. I'm sure I probably just lost a few other followers because I don't know. I guess we're too progressive for not treating non-white men like shit. I don't know. I just don't get it. But don't feel bad, Scott. There's nothing wrong with positive shit, especially when it happens in Star Wars.
Very true. All right.
This one is Rippic for sure.
Okay, so this one is Rippic because that's it's the little Boba icon. It says the whole episode had great sound editing and musical cues to match the weight of each scene. That's interesting because nobody ever points out anything to do with sound in Star Wars. And Matt and I have talked on this podcast a lot about
it's what makes Star Wars. I mean, without John Williams, Star Wars would not be where it's at today. I take that to the fucking bank. You know it as well as I do. Without his musical themes, that movie never would have resonated with people the way it does.
It doesn't even get off the ground, honestly. Like, people see it and they're like, yeah, it's cool. And then it just gets compared to, like sci-fi movies from the same era and stuff like that. But with John Williams' theme behind it, that is what
it's the man himself, because he's done it to other franchises too. I mean, Jaws, Raiders, anything he's done, you will instantly be taken back through a musical memory because he's that fucking good at creating themes. I know Kevin Kiner scores this, but he's taking cues and he's influenced from Williams.
Yeah, no, dude, he's just like, what would John Williams do here? Right. That's what any composer who's not John Williams does when they
just think
Star
about
Wars.
The power of his contribution to Star Wars. I know, at least me personally, I can hear certain themes and I'm instantly taken to that far, far away galaxy, and I'm instantly put into some sort of. Sometimes it's good emotion that makes me a little teary-eyed. Sometimes it's bad emotion, but either way, it gets the emotional juices flowing in a rather emotionless individual.
No, yeah, definitely. So, no, good call out. This is one of the first people to ever call out music on our responses. So good job. Next one, Huffman Steven says, the moment Wrecker actually flipped his switch,
look at this.
The way the music again, the way the music and everything just stopped except for one sound as his eyes opened with focused determination, you knew he was gone and it was about to get real. I've watched this episode at least 5 times now. Just a wow episode. Again, like those musical cues, man. Powerful stuff. Like, no.
It really, totally in terms of art, I think, gun to my head, music would be the one I would take to a remote island. Yeah. I think when you really line them all up, music, traditional art, film, TV, music to me is just, it's something that can get in my head and take me to places that I can't typically get myself to, at least emotionally. People that listen to Howard, I'm kind of the same way. I like listening to music to make me feel sad and bad, because that's the only time I actually feel like emotion, like normal.
Yeah. No, very true. Very true. All right, so good stuff there from Huffman Steven. And then our good buddy Scion XTC, the finder of Easter eggs from this week's episode, says, finally seeing Wrecker's chip flip on. Matt had been calling for this since the first headache, and even though he didn't get the Of Mice and Men finish, it was still a dramatic scene that we didn't know how it would end. I mean,
I'll be real. I already knew I was going to give Scion a mention in this episode, but he got a second one because he included my prediction in there. So
yeah, your exact prediction.
You guys should figure that out now. I mean, I'd sit here and talk about you the entire time if you just told me how great I was. I mean, like, any of you fans, if you just want to submit like, oh, Matt's the best, he's the best Star Wars guy ever, I'll dedicate the whole fan segment to you. I mean, it's easy.
Let's see if that happens next week.
It'll be fun. Yeah, someone will challenge me. It'll probably be Gregu Snaps, although he's not in here right now.
He's not here today. Tones1138. I know that guy. I know what kind of underwear he wears too.
That's right.
Manscaped underwear.
So he's got some fresh smelling testicles, because those Manscaped undies, just let those things breathe.
Dude, they're so cool. I wore them yesterday to the gym, and it's just like, when you go to the gym, you need something like that that just like lets you.
Well, because it keeps the balls tight, so they're not swinging, and you're not going to get them. Yeah. Oh, I got a story to tell. I don't think he'll mind me telling this, and he needs to get himself some Manscaped boxers, but. Our boy Hideous, he's a power lifter, and him and I kind of chat about that stuff. But apparently he was I think he was pressing 105-pound dumbbells. So in each arm, 105 pounds. And that's manly shit.
Yeah.
But it's either like on a rep or when he was coming down, he fucking pinched his dick tip.
Oh.
He pinched his dick tip in between essentially 210 pounds of dumbbells.
Oh, that is painful. Like,
hideous. You got to keep that shit locked down. Get a tight pair of shorts on, brother.
I can't lift that much. Like, my limit right now is like, I can do the 70-pound dumbbells, 75-pound dumbbells maybe. But even with the 70s or the 65s, that would still be painful. And you're adding 105.
Yeah, when he typed that over, I mean that's just something any guy, you can pretty much instantly visualize what that probably felt like.
That just sound like like you don't even need to experience the pain to know what it feels like.
He's like, yeah. I mean, I got basically a blood blister on there now. So, so poor little Hideous got fucking got trash compacted essentially. Like he did not have R2D2 to stop that thing from running, so the old guy got fucking dinged pretty hard. But back to Tones, and I put him up here because, like I said earlier, I was going to have to address it, but he self-corrected him. But Wrecker's brief battle with that lurking Rathtar should have been a Dianoga in his apology to Omega. Talk about hitting the feels. So we did clear it up. It is not a Rathtar. I mean, like I said, turn on closed captioning and you get a bunch of Dianoga scream, Dianoga roar, like that. It's like Yoga Flame, Yoga Fire. A little Street Fighter reference.
It's just a water Sarlacc, everybody. That's what it is.
And according to Nick, it's a water Sarlacc.
There we go.
All right, man.
So that's the end of the fan responses. Now that I have access to the IG, I will try to finish the actual battle bracket this week. So we should be good to go. But that brings us into our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week.
We build it, and they show up not in droves.
And this week we added in our fan shot breakdowns, and we got a couple. We got one from Lionworks, and we have one from one name that is really hard to say, Stalagmethylil.
Sounds good to me.
We'll get there.
Hooked on Phonics worked for Nick. See, he just sounded it out, whether it's right or not. So yeah, we're here at our top 5 just to kind of give the spiel here, just in case you're new. We do the top 5 every week towards the end of our most recent episode, and we pull the artists from our Instagram community. So on Instagram, if you want to have your shot featured on our page, we ask you to, we'd love you to give us a follow, but we're not going to require it. Just make sure you tag us at Star Wars Time Show in any of your Star Wars art shots. It could be more than toy photography, real ass paint. We accept those as well. Cosplay, tattoos. It really doesn't matter. I mean, our boy, Johnny Osage, apparently he's a motherfucking artist too. Because he sent over some sketches he's done, and I love his style of art. It reminds me of this guy. And I would imagine some of you have probably heard this guy, maybe over in the UK, but Jake Detonator. He's one of my favorite artists who uses kind of a chibi style. I don't want to say a plain or simple style because I've bought so many of his pieces. But anyways, we love all art. It's all about it. Yeah, there you go. Stalagmite Thriller. That works, Joe. Whatever. Something like that. We'll get there. But anyways, to get involved in the Star Wars Time Show Top 5 segment to potentially be featured on the show where we pull up your picture, we talk about it, and sometimes we may gently stroke you off over it. At Star Wars Time Show on your Star Wars pieces. Use hashtag Star Wars Time Show and just be patient. Yep. Don't come at me because I'm the one you're talking to almost at all times on Instagram. Don't come at me like, hey, I've been sharing, I've been tagging. Well, you probably didn't make it because you haven't quite made the cut yet. All right?
Yeah.
That's nothing that, don't take it personally. But I try to curate really good-looking work. I do like to find new accounts that might not have all the skills yet, but I'm going to be hard pressed to share shitty looking shots. Okay, I'm just going to come out and say it. I mean, for example, we don't share any of my work. So you can go look at Haywood Pop. If your work looks like that or worse, it's probably not going to get shared. Okay. So don't come at me like, hey, I'm using it. Are you ever going to like that's an instant. Yeah, you're probably not going to get shared. Just be patient. It will come if it's good enough. All right. So 12 shots a day we will put out on at Star Wars Time Show Instagram.
Yeah, so that's
and then Nick
84 shots a week, and only 5 get picked for the top 5.
Right. And Nick is the one that curates out of that list of 12 shots a day to pick the top 5 to be discussed on the Star Wars Time Show during our fan segment block. All right, Nick, so let's get at it. Who made the grade this week?
I mean, the first one that made the grade this week is one of the greats, and that is Mr. Plastic Action.
Yeah, we were just talking about him last week, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about Jax last week, and I mean, 156,000 followers on the IG.
I told you he went nuclear.
I mean, yeah, like I can remember not that long ago, Jax was hovering around like the 50,000 mark, which is still super big.
Right.
But now he's like gone stratospheric.
He's probably made the biggest crossover out of just fucking around this with a hobby and maybe getting a deal here or there to full on pop culture artist. I mean, you don't get to 156 without having some mega accounts expose you to the world, which he's had via ESPN and his plastic ballers and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can see here with this Star Wars Godzilla crossover shot. I mean, this
is beautiful shit, man. Like so you see, for those of you on the audio only, like basically you have Godzilla on Hoth, and then you have a bunch of the snow speeders kind of swarming around him like they were the AT-ATs. I mean, it's just like, it just looks so dynamic. It looks so badass. Like his posing of the Godzilla is perfect. The blur effect that he uses on the snow speeders to really sell that motion and like the swarming effect is fantastic. The background, I don't know, like you can tell that the front end of it's practical. The back end, I don't know what it is. But
yeah, he never goes just full digital. I mean, he definitely likes to build sets and sometimes use a digital backdrop. So I'm sure he shared it. I mean, he's not a stingy toy photographer. But again, this is why people like Jax kind of, like I said, cross over in the mainstream. It's their ideas sometimes are what help them to stand out. I mean, I've always said here, this game it's idea and execution. Those that have both are typically going to have the larger followings. And Plastic Action is 100% one of them. Our boy Jason B. Michael has become one of them. I think he's repping Mezco now, like getting early figures to help them sell them. I mean, that's how fucking great his shit is. But yeah, I mean, Plastic Action, this is someone I really want on the show. I think Spencer has gone on a vacation. Like the guy, he got his master's or whatever, and it's summer break, and he's like, hey, fuck it. I'm actually going to take a break.
He literally is on vacation.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just going to fucking take a break. Screw these cocksuckers. They don't need me to find them interviews anymore.
Yeah, man. I mean, but Jax's work here is incredible.
Jax, if you actually listen, which I mean, sometimes they say they do. Who knows? Maybe they're just being nice. But if you actually listen, this isn't like a buzzword type of test. I want to interview you. Will you please reach out to me through @StarWarsTimeShow or @HeywoodPop, and let's get this thing going. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that would be really incredible. Jax has his own shop, of course, so hit the link tree in his description on IG, and you can find his store link there where you can buy prints. You can get pricing info on any sort of thing you would want from him in terms of size and how it's printed. So yeah, go support artists out there, people.
Damn straight.
That's what so yes, @Plastic Action, you know him, you love him. If you don't, then go give him a follow @Plastic Action on the IG. Next up, this is from @Jedi Knight Inside, and what we have is an absolutely incredible shot of. This is Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker slicing through an ATST.
Badass.
With his lightsaber. And what you see is basically the ATST completely cut in half, about to fall apart, and then Luke in almost like the superhero pose.
Exactly. As I was going to say, he's doing the superhero land, where they kind of got the one arm down to brace themselves. So, again, he's created a scene. It's telling a story. The story to me is that at one point, Luke did a Jedi jump up and was like, Hawaga! And like rode his lightsaber right through it, landed like a superhero, and now he's doing the pose. The iconic, basically, no look back superhero shot, right? Like,
exactly.
There's shit exploding behind him, and he's so fucking cool that he's just holding that pose with his saber up like, yeah, I did that.
Everybody knows that cool guys don't look at explosions or shit that they've cut in half. So Luke is fittingly.
Yeah, @Jedi Knight Inside actually creates some really dynamic looking shots. I always like the color that they infuse in. The effects work is always good. They definitely mix digital with practical. The only thing I would recommend, and I don't usually do this, but I've been meaning to bring this up to Jedi Knight just in case they listen. And please, we love you. We speak your name. All right, we speak your name. The watermark gets slightly big in your shots to the point where sometimes it takes the focus away from the subject matter. It's not that bad in this shot, but I've seen others where it's like, do you want us to look at the shot or the watermark? This is just honest feedback. Your art is fantastic. Let's maybe wash that logo out a little bit, or maybe not make it so prominent in the field of view. All right. So I know this wasn't in the fan shot critique, and I'm not really critiquing the shot. I think the shot is fantastic. It's just sometimes people get a little overzealous with their watermarks, and it kind of takes away from the masterpiece.
Yeah. Use a little bit of the opacity feature on that on Photoshop. Right. Make I
promise you, and the huge accounts will tell you too, people follow for the art, not so much the logo. All right.
Yeah. So awesome job at Jedi_Knight_inside on IG. Go give him a follow. Fantastic work all over the feed. Next up, I mean, this one's a killer. I actually picked 2 shots by this artist this week.
I can tell you right now, 97 is one of those accounts that has just caught fire pretty much the moment they started because of these very dynamic looking battle scene shots. I mean, I believe 97's already over 10,000, if not 11.
Over 10,000. 10,000.
I believe this account has only been up for a year. So
that's so impressive, but the work is impressive. This is at 97_parsecs_photography. And like Matt was saying, like the incredible growth that this account has seen is because of the incredible quality.
I want to make that clear, because I was one of the first people, and I do know IG's algo is fucked up. But I've now seen him, I've seen Jason B. Michael all come after me, start at essentially 0, and go to 5 figures very quickly. So while IG's algo is bunk, it is bullshit, it does reward amazing work. All right?
Yeah.
I can accept that now. I understand, you know what, there'd be times I'd put stuff up and be like, this is fucking amazing. And it wasn't. It truly was not. It was not at this level. It's not at a plastic action level. And I've finally come to that. Like, it's okay. I understand why some shots don't break 200 or 300. They probably shouldn't. I understand why my account's not growing, because I am not doing that dynamic looking of stuff. But I have now seen through multiple accounts, this one being the most recent, if you put the time and effort in and post multiple times a week and you're producing some insane looking scenes, you will be rewarded with a following. All right?
Yeah. Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, the shot that we see here is actually of
Clone Commando.
Clone Commando, yeah.
That's not even a figure. That's the other thing. This is a custom I think he got from Black Series Customs.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is from on his original post. It says that he got it from Black Series Customs, and this is just a fantastic shot. So if you're one of the people who are waiting for the Republic Commando game to come out on Switch, or a big fan of that game, I mean, this image here is a beautiful one of the Clone Commandos. It's a trench shot, so it's like a trench warfare shot. You see other clones that are in the trench with the Commando.
He's got great setups. I mean, he did one when he hit 10,000 where, I mean, he created these massive battle scenes spanning like all of the trilogies of characters, and they're like, little kind of tongue-in-cheek fights happening. But I mean, 97_parsecs_photography. Sometimes post twice a day. I believe it feels like they post at least every day, and that's what IG needs these times. I mean, I can tell you right now. I mean, I had a little bit of a following, and I would see, I'd go up 100 every 6-7 weeks, maybe every 2 months. But the fact for the past month or so that I haven't posted a damn thing, my account's dead. It is dead. It's so dead, bots are jumping ship. They're like, whoa, fuck this. Like, there's nothing happening here that we could try and propagandize. So we're leaving too. You really do. Like, these days, IG, I think you have to be a daily poster to keep a following going and grow it at numbers that you think you should be getting.
it definitely rewards activity more than anything nowadays. So yeah, but the type of work that you put out is also important, and 97 parsecs photography's work is just absolutely mind-blowing. So go give him a follow on the IG. He also has a site, and it's interesting because his he also has a shop, and his shop, he basically allows you to pick a print that you want. So if like you see a particular image that you like on his IG feed, then he can more than likely turn that into a print for you. So really cool.
That's
Click
good.
the link in his.
I just, I guess I'm glad that Lucasfilm hasn't started fucking all these people up yet. I mean, I guess technically they'd be in their right. Maybe you could claim fair use, but the moment you start making money off of stuff, it gets a little dicey. I think it's like, I mean, artistic license is very interesting, and I don't know how that applies to things like this, especially considering, like for people like Savvy, or for people like like Super Scoundrel, stuff like that, who are literally just creating these images on their own. It's a little bit more clear, like you can do that, and you have artistic license to sell that work because you've created the piece yourself. With toy photography, it's even more hard. It's more difficult because like you're using licensed pieces of merchandise as a focus, right?
And so it is interesting that like I assume that Lucasfilm is aware that this is happening, and they're just like, you know what, like we're gonna let these artists make their art and profit from it, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, more power to them. It's something I've stayed away from. Not that anyone would want any of my shit, but shit gets dicey, especially when it comes to Disney and Lucasfilm. Yeah, sometimes when you pick up the girl, you completely go invisible. It's kind of neat. It's
I know.
He is using the Force over there with Windu and his other Jedi Masters.
Yeah.
All right, up next we got you do this almost any time now. You managed to get a first and first. So
a first and first.
At Imperial _ Optics is one of those first and first. I believe this is the shot we're looking at now. I just featured for the first time this week, and then Nick chose him for the top 5. So
hits him with the top 5. Yeah, I mean, this shot is actually really incredible for a relatively new account. Only 60 posts. I don't know how long they've been posting for, but what we see is like it's a squadron of stormtroopers marching through it could be the Tatooine desert, or it could be another desert planet. One of them is on a dewback riding next to the rest of the squad. And you can tell that they're battle hardened. They're well worn. The figures themselves have good wear on them. Yeah. And I just like the setup, and it really does sell kind of like a trekking through the desert.
Yeah, it's a good trooper shot. It's a good trooper shot. I mean, I'm always a fan of trooper shots. I always have appreciated the aesthetics of the Empire over the Rebellion, and that carries over into the First Order, all that shit. But it's a good lineup shot, is like what to call them, and I like the posing. I like the slight little tilts on some of their heads. Right, they're not just all walking straight forward. So some good posing in this shot, some good natural atmosphere. It looks like got that haze going on. Kind of how in the background the dewback is a little more hazed out than the subject in the foreground. I just, the tones of the shot are very pleasing. You kind of got that warm feel to it. And, just watching bucketheads do their thing and look miserable is always going to be interesting to me. And I feel like these guys, like you said, they're either going to a mission or coming from a mission, and they look like, when can we take this fucking armor off? It's
exactly.
Please get me out of this desert. I don't give a shit about droids. I just want to go back to my fucking dorm on the Death Star.
Yes, for sure. So excellent shot at Imperial _troops _optics. Beautiful, beautiful work there. Go give him or her a follow. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. Next up, last one for the top 5 this week is a Matt favorite account. This is at Visual Force, and what we see is Phase 1 clone troopers that are lined up in formation with their captain in front of them.
Well, yeah, now, these are ARC troopers, and it's Echo. So like the main guy is Echo. They're actually all Echo, but what Visual Force is doing here is essentially, he's like the ARC trooper commander. So it's a whole unit of ARC troopers that he has personally customized to look weathered this way. So this is the Black Series Echo. Somehow Visual Force got his hands on a bunch and actually did customizations to sell to people. A little too rich for my blood, but I mean, as you can see, he puts in some great work weathering these figures. And as Nick said, I am a fan of that Visual Force because he kind of shoots like me. It's the kind of the thought out portraits, nice static poses, good lighting to match backgrounds. I'm not saying I use good lighting, but it's stuff that I like to do. Not getting too crazy. Indoor little setups. Just stand your guys there and try to make them as cool as you can in a more of a portrait type of a shoot, right?
Yeah.
But really, I mean, just what he did to the figures, if I didn't tell you those were Black Series, you could contend that those look like Hot Toys almost, right? I mean, the weathering definitely brings a new level of quality to that little piece of plastic, courtesy of @Visual Force.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, I mean, this shot was super good. It's just so clean, kind of like you were saying, Matt. Like
that's what I wanted to say. Like
setup.
Visual Force to me takes some of the cleanest and crispest shots of Star Wars figures around, and it might not be for everyone. Someone else that does that is Rebel Jawa. Like I kind of feel like I'm in their niche where our focus isn't so much on awesomely detailed dioramas we build. It's more making our shots look clean and the character kind of putting the focus on them.
Absolutely. So good job @Visual Force. That's the end of the top 5, and we'll move into the 2 fan shot breakdowns we have this week. And while I introduce the first one, after I do that, I'll let Matt take over, and I'm going to go take a pee.
Look at that. Does anyone else notice that I haven't taken a piss break in like the past 2 or 3 shows?
You've been good. I had like a whole bottle of water during this one, so I'm
trying to figure out. The only thing I can think, I'm just keeping him here a little bit so he's gonna piss himself. I think it's because in my gym now, it's in the garage and it's usually like 78 degrees with no airflow.
You're sweating
that I am sweating out that excess instead of needing to go potty break on the show. All right, go ahead, take a break. I'll start breaking this one down.
All right, this one here is from @LionWorks. Take it away, man.
All right, yeah. So @LionWorks, LYONWORX, and what we got here? Hey, this is a shot of that 1/6 scale Chewbacca I was just talking about. So this is about the best you're going to get in terms of a Chewbacca figure because it actually has the real hair. It's beautiful. Now, in terms of what we're looking at, if you're not on the live stream, we've got this Chewbacca in a kneeling position. Looks like he's holding a detonator or something. He's got his bow in there. Hey, I can hear Nick taking a leak. Hopefully you guys can too. But basically, Chewbacca's kneeling down in a forest, looking at a grenade in his hand. It's a very reflective pose. In terms of critiquing the shot, it's really not a bad shot at all. I'd argue maybe this should have been more of a landscape type of a aspect ratio versus the 4:5 type of portrait setup, just to allow for more of the scenery to come in. But overall, I mean, he's got some atmosphere going on here. Maybe you could have turned the aperture down a bit to get more of a washed out background, more of a tight focus around Chewbacca himself. But overall, it's a pretty good, what I like to call a natural light outdoor shot. Oh, there goes the toilet flush. Yeah, I think you're right, Greg. I think you just took a shit. I heard the toilet flush down. So there's really not a lot to pick apart in this shot. Like I said, maybe you separate Chewbacca from the background a bit so you can get more of that depth of field look where the background's a little more washed out, and you get a crisper focus on Chewbacca himself. and a landscape presentation might have offered more to the scene, more elements in the background. But overall, for a portrait-style shot, it's not too shabby. Lionworks. I mean, this is another one where you people submit to us, and there's not a lot of things to kind of to poke holes in here. What's your take, Nick? After your little dump, I got to hear the stream and the flush.
I think it's because I accidentally on the on the Skype call, I have my headset microphone instead of my standard desk microphone.
Yeah, it's good when you didn't start wheeling one out, or it would have been like
It was good. It was good though. It was a solid.
Yeah. So I mean, Nick, like I said, there's not a ton to kind of pick apart or bash in this shot. I argued that you might have used a little lower of an aperture, like a 2.8 or a 3.2 to kind of make the background a little more washed out looking, give you that depth of field look. But overall, for an outdoor natural light shoot, we got the atmosphere in there. We got a good pose in there. I guess you could question what is being told here. Is Chewbacca?
Like the thermal detonator is like the big question, right?
Yeah, like is he contemplating? Yeah, exactly. Like, is he thinking if he should show it? Did he just pick it up? Was it a booby trap that he is investigating? That is one thing. Like, in terms of the story being told, it's not overly clear. Like, why is he intently looking at a thermal detonator? Is he having murderous thoughts and he's about ready to toss it, or he's questioning having murderous thoughts? Is he going to throw it into an Ewok village? That type of stuff. So yeah, that's not clear. Like the message of the shot isn't that clear, but the rest of the stuff, I mean, it's pretty well executed.
No, yeah, I think overall, I do think that this is a well executed.
And that is shot. The Chewbacca I was telling you about. That's pretty much the only toy that works because of the real hair, and it is beautiful.
Yeah. It does not look like a melted piece of
plastic. Exactly.
But no, yeah, I'm actually a pretty big fan of this shot. But yeah, maybe a little bit more clear in terms of the messaging. Yeah, of the shot.
What is the intent of the shot? Like what's he doing? Is he just did he sniff a little glue and he can't really remember why he's holding a thermal detonator? Did he eat a magical mushroom on the forest floor and he's like, whoa, what is this? Or he'd be like, That's one of the worst Chewbacca growls of all time.
Overall, not a bad shot, though, from @Lionworks. Yeah. So thank you for your submission. Hopefully some of the feedback that Matt gave will give you an idea on what you can do for
I didn't really offer this because I forgot we were doing it, but we're still accepting any shots you would like critiqued on the show. Just go ahead and DM us, and we'll add it to the queue. I guess what I'd almost flip it back to what I said earlier. If you are someone that's been tagging or sending us like, hey, did you see this? Trust me, I see it all. You don't have to get in front of my face 50 different ways. But if you're someone that feels like, hey, I haven't been featured, I wonder why, that's a good moment to be like, hey, I'm going to submit one for the critique. Then those are the type of shots I would like to discuss. I'm not going to get in here and take a flamethrower to you, but I'll give you some good, honest criticism based on my opinions of what I think looks good. So those of you sending good-looking shots, that's enough. We want to shit on people. We want to talk shit about their skills like I talk shit about myself.
There we go.
All right, next one.
That's what you need to aim for. Next one is Stalagmite Thrilla. Thank you, Joe, a.k.a. Klondike Studios, for that correction of my pronunciation. When I look at the IG handles, all the letters just run together, especially after I was 2.5 hours deep into a podcast plus. So letters and words just don't make sense anymore. But what we have here from Stalagmite Thrilla is a shot of Mythos Obi.
So before we get into the breakdown, I told you this one's still more like as we saw him at the end of Revenge of the Sith, right? It's not the same color as the Kenobi leaks we saw.
The tunic itself is definite, and it still has kind of like that crisp burn.
Oh yeah, he's got like old Jedi sweat on there from hanging out in the desert. This is one of my favorite 1/6 scales. I love this fucking figure. All right, for the shot itself, this is almost opposite of the last one. This one, I'd argue you could have opened your aperture up a little bit to get more clear focus around the face of Kenobi. Because if you look around his face, and I do think the face is pretty clear, but there are hints of blurriness, especially around his fingers holding the hood back a little bit, that kind of throw the overall focus of the shot off a bit. And you can tell this is probably super low aperture because, I mean, the background is just completely blurred out, which is it's a nice depth of field. But I do feel like there's almost not enough focus here. Maybe bump this up to a 5.6, maybe even as high as a 7 or a 9 to get more focus on the subject because it is such a close-up shot.
Yeah. So I think that, a little bit more background. And then also if you opened up the shot a little bit more, it would give you an opportunity to add some atmosphere into the shot too. Because right now it's a very good, it's a good portrait essentially of Kenobi's face and torso. But if you were pulled out a little bit more, you could add a little bit more atmosphere into the shot, which adds a little bit of dynamicism, a little bit more realness to it. I mean, this is some of the shit I think about, especially when I'm shooting and looking at people's shots. I mean, if you really want me to get anal, where would this Kenobi be with forestry? Right? Think about that. Yeah.
Like when I shot my Kenobi, I made sure that backgrounds were either blue sky or drab because to me, this version of Kenobi never left Tatooine. I mean, he only left Tatooine when Luke showed up.
Yeah.
So you could argue that the background scene doesn't quite match the character's lore. But like I said, that's really getting down to splitting hairs on Nat's asses. Mm-hmm. It is. It's just, I mean, when you have a close-up portrait like this, at least what I like to do, because there isn't a lot of background to pull from for the person looking at it, this is where I'll try to get a little more creative with my lighting and atmosphere. Like maybe have dueling lights and get some of the smoke in there to make the backlight pop a bit more. The shot overall is just kind of it's a plain Jane portrait. It's not bad, but it's not overly exciting.
Yeah, could be a little bit more dynamic. So, good start though. I feel like just like with those few suggestions from Matt, it could be like a very dynamic portrait.
Right. And I hope everyone, this is just Kenobi. Honest feedback. This is no hate. I know SW Props is saying I'm the toughest critic, probably saying I'm a pussy. Trust me, Justin, I've learned my lesson with this fan base that if I even like WWE and kind of ham up being a little bit of a dick, it doesn't go over well with some people. Like they get very upset. So I'm not gonna lie, like at one point in time the intent of this segment was to make it like when I used to break down my own shots and be like, this fucking sucks, that sucks, this person's on drugs. I kind of reconsidered that after the Boba Fett massacre of 2020. I literally had people like, I quit you, you're mean. It's like, Jesus. All right.
That time.
All right, I get it. Now I know why all these crazy conservatives are always out there like, you can't do anything without getting yelled at. It's like, shit you guys worry about is way different than what I was yelling about. But hey, just remember, we're all having fun here. I like to fuck with people. I might cut a promo left and right on someone's face. It's for the show. I'm not trying to be mean, but no, you're all right, SW Props. I could be a little more hardcore, but it just doesn't seem to play too well to this audience. How's that?
Constructive criticism is what we're going for.
Like I said, like some of the shots that never get featured, those are the people I want to discuss. Like if I could pick my own fan critiques, you guys would see like, okay, here's some shit here. Because there's some stuff where it's like, hey, people, I respect you. You're trying, but really? Like, you think this is feature worthy? Like, my kid could do this with her Polaroids. So, all right. Yeah. Good and honest without trying to be mean. That's how we do it here. Blah, blah, blah. All right, man, that's it, right? Let's put 166 to bed. Let's turn the lights off. We do it raw. We go in raw at all times. Just ask Nick. We don't believe in raincoats at the Star Wars Time Show. Raw dog for life.
Unless there's a company that wants to sponsor us.
Yeah, hey, maybe get some of those magnums for my co-host here. They call him the beer can. Actually, I have no clue. So, all right, man, let's put this shit to bed, because now that you want pee, it's like the Force told me I have to go pee, so it's probably time to wrap it up. But it's been fun. Lots of good stuff to talk about on episode 166 as the Star Wars Time Show. If you need to listen to the announcer and all the topics we went through, we ask you to either replay the live stream on YouTube, probably later tonight or tomorrow morning when it's done processing, or just wait for the podcast platform drop, which almost always happens Wednesday afternoon. So in the meantime, my friends, you know what time it is. It's time to head on over to StarWarsTime.net, just in case you forgot. That is the home base. This is our Lothal. This is our Masasi Temple. All of our content can be found here. The stuff we're going to talk about. If you ever want to know, what are these idiots going to lie to us about this week? How are they going to bore us on Tuesday? Well, StarWarsTime.net will have that information for you. So that's where all our content comes from. That's where the top 5 gets posted for those that want to see it. And it's also where you can go to find all of our other platforms. Most importantly, though, are the podcast platforms. So please, StarWarsTime.net, click on that subscribe to podcast link, or just scroll down, check out the content. You know, we want you to stick for a while, generate some page views. Don't give us a high bounce rate. Look at the sidebar. You know, you want Apple? We got that. You want Google? We got that too. Spotify, Android, Pandora, iHeart, Stitcher, TuneIn, Deezer, RSS. Hell, we'll even email you the motherfucker. All right? But you have to go to StarWarsTime.net to subscribe. And we really want you to. All right? Even if you're someone that prefers the live stream, please sub on one of the audio platforms. If I have to pick one for you, make it Apple or Spotify. Those are the two main players in the podcast game, whether you people want to tell me I'm full of shit or not. But Spotify doesn't fork over $40 million to a Joe Rogan for fun. They want to be iTunes or Apple Podcasts. So either one of those platforms, both would be great. Sub, let them know through a check. But the most important part after you do that is to rate and review the show, in particular on Apple Podcasts. I would love to go look at it sometime this week and see it beyond the meager 33 reviews we have. I know there are more than 33 idiots that listen to this nonsense. Take the 5 minutes. It's not even 5 minutes. 2 minutes. Help us out. It's better than money. All right? It's better than holding our hands out. All right? At least the stuff we ask you to do, you get something for it, right? You use the code, you got something to mow your balls. There's no Patreons like, oh, give us money, we'll let you listen first. Fuck that shit! We're better than that. We need to grow organically. That's how real entertainers do it. No fucking handouts here. But we need the ratings, the reviews. Same on YouTube. If you've watched the show 50 times and you're still not a subscriber, hit that button. And after you hit the button, hit yourself for taking so damn long. All right? There's always time for Star Wars time. You know that. Teach it, spread the word. But you got to do the little things for us. If you're watching this right now, click the thumbs up. Leave a comment. Greg, yell at Nick. Tell him he's stupid for not talking about Marvel. Leave a comment. Share it. Link it out. Post it in your stories. That's all we ask. If you love us like you tell us, you diehards, you are the army. You're the street team. We're not going to give you any fucking money because that's how we roll. Nick pays me to talk on the show. So we ain't paying fans to do shit. We just want you to help us out. Come on. Spread the word. If you have fun, if you think other people, other degenerates will have fun too, let them know. We want to keep growing. Plus, like we said, we got a sponsor now. We gotta feed that fire. We got to hit that ROI, which means more bodies. We can't just ask the 10 or 15 of you that supported us to just keep buying boxers and boxers and boxers. Need new fans. Get the word out. StarWarsTime.net. There's always time for Star Wars Time. And besides, if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.